All right, I'm calling together the meeting of July 30 at 4:30 p.m. And everybody here, John, Steve, me, Val, TJ. Jesse's out somewhere and I have not seen Ray.
He's
So,
away.
we will continue and
You finish your golf game
do
sooner
we
than
have
later.
anything that needs to be
Yes.
removed?
Yes, so
I hope that's
you can
not
strike
water.
items 4 and 5, 1 Westchester Street, they were approved on the 23rd, so those should not be on.
Where did they have?
I striked them, but just, it's not on
Behind
the.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
4 and 5.
Mr. Grant.
Oh, you did already,
Behind the
right?
Yeah, but yeah, just as a, for a
Okay.
motion for, and Linda Williams would like to be moved to the end of the agenda.
So moved.
6, 7, and 8.
All right, I need to have a motion to approve the agenda with items 4 and 5 on old business removed,
And Linda moved.
6, 7, and 8 to the end.
and 6, 7, and 8 to the end.
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next thing is I need a motion to approve the whole agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Johnny?
Aye.
All right, number 1 is public comment. This is a public comment that we would listen to this on something that is not on our agenda, other than the agenda. Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm here for public comment.
All right, would you give your name to Terry?
Yes, Terry. I'm Hillary Rayport. I'm the chair of the Nantucket Historical Commission. And I'm here to update you all on some of the things we discussed in our meeting on July 18th. I'll be very brief. We discussed one topic that I think has been at times on your agenda and is waiting for comment from you, which is bike parking in town. There's currently a inverted U style bike rack at the corner of Liberty Street and Center Street by the bank. It was put there in this early summer, waiting for some feedback. We've taken the liberty of discussing this and had an opinion, and we've decided to write a memo to you. Unless you have material comments, we will plan to circulate it to Mike Burns and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. In short, we feel that the bike bollards are more appropriate for in-town bike parking, and the rack doesn't really provide much additional utility.
I don't get it.
I agree.
Okay, well that's interesting to hear. So we have some photos and some comments. We also think that it might be beneficial to spread the bollards out. Right now the bollards are arrayed as a rack, and it does impinge on clearance for pedestrians in certain places. I don't think there's anywhere where there's really a pinch point, but it is a consideration. So we're suggesting potentially that the bollards could be oriented parallel to the street and spread out a little bit more around the town so all the bikes are not clustered together. So I'd love if anybody wants to contact me directly with any comments, or I can just pass this on to Deepak and Mike Burns as it is, and they can hopefully take it into consideration and not use the inverted U rack.
That's this one over here.
On the left.
It's
yeah.
really messy looking.
It is. Yeah, it's got a big galvanized bar at the bottom. It looks really inelegant.
But the bikes can be put in neatly. They don't have to look like they're always thrown in the direction.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on the
Yeah.
person who changed theirs there before you.
In-
Yeah.
In context, they seem obtrusive. I think.
Yeah.
The bikes on the on the bollards, which is the photo on the right, are also really messy. So
What about the good old bike racks?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about the good old wooden
you
bike
know,
path?
that's a usability issue. So I'm a bike commuter. I think that those old style bike racks, while they do work well for some functions, they don't really allow bike users to park and securely lock the frame of their bike to the rack. If you're happy just sliding your tire into the rack and locking your front tire, that's fine, but you can quick release a front tire and steal a bike frame. I know this doesn't happen on Nantucket, but I think the post and ring is really the way bike parking is going in municipalities.
Is
I'd like
the
to see
post
what-
and ring the thing in the middle?
Yes.
Is that what they do in Amsterdam?
They have, in, up at the Stop and Shop, they have a wooden one
I
at
was
the
going to say,
far end.
the Stop and Shop
Yeah.
where the liquor store is, there
Yeah.
are about 3 wooden ones and they're always full.
And
I
they're
mean, but
we-
so I wonder if we couldn't do a combination, like some areas really, those wooden ones, the old fashioned
Yeah.
ones really do work.
I
People
certainly
who
think
are
on
gonna
private
steal a
property,
bicycle
an owner
aren't
should.
gonna steal in the daytime and stand there and undo a front wheel. I bicycled in this town for 47, 48 years.
Can I make,
And
I'm sorry.
no, I just, to me, the wooden ones look simpler. And, we have on occasion had like the bollards, but they had horses heads. And we turned them down on the HTC some years ago. Yes, Steve, you were going to say,
I was just gonna suggest, with respect to these U-shape versus the bollards, clearly, we're all gonna have our opinions. I personally prefer, I think I am consistent with the comments by the Historical Commission. But for the sake of process, I was gonna suggest that, perhaps this, if anyone had an objection, when were you, Hillary, gonna submit this?
As soon as I got feedback from you.
So, I was just gonna suggest if anyone has objections to forward them to, Hillary for, by Friday. And if not, she'll know there were no objections and they could proceed with making a recommendation. If there's an objection to the
or
specifics, if you wanna add on something, then you can do that and she'll be able to append with a notation that a member of the HDC asked for something or other.
Well, I don't think we could really make a motion now. Can we?
No, I'm
No.
not suggesting,
Oh, okay.
I'm not suggesting we vote on anything, I'm just suggesting that we would, if you have an objection, forward it. That's something you can do independently, it's nothing that we have to
Hillary,
vote
do you
on.
have
Where do we?
an email address?
Yeah, Kathy knows how to reach me, and I'll give you my email address right now. It's hrayport, HRAYPORT @mac, like Macintosh.com.
MAC?
Yeah.
At
@mac.com.
Mac.
Okay, so
dot
capital H,
Short,
capital R,
short.
sure, yeah. R
It'll find me
A
either way.
Rapport.
She's forwarded stuff to us before through.
And
the
Kathy knows
office.
how to
Oh,
read
so
it.
if I do-
No
I can
problem.
forward the
My
Well, I just
internet's
want the
been so
first three
bad,
letters,
I've-
R-A-P,
RAYPORT.
R-A-Y. Okay, got it.
Okay, so everybody can email
okay.
to Hillary directly, she can go through our comments, see if there's anything she'd like to ask back, because she'll have then our email, and we'll give you a hand.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thanks for your help.
Thank you for
So
coming.
I'm also circulating the minutes from our meeting. I think the other thing that I just wanted to let you know about for your consideration later, and I know this is public comment, so if you wanna add this to the agenda, I can come back anytime. But we have done a lot of research on the streets and the streetscape. In particular, what other historic districts do regarding care of historic pavement. And we have decided, we took a vote and voted to put together proposed draft guidelines. This is not for a process. That process question has been worked on by the Sidewalk Commission under Rob McNeil. So this is a complement to the process, and it's really about how do we make sure that we're properly taking care of this very old hand-carved pavement, the cobblestones, both the look of it, the fact that it's there and it doesn't get removed or moved, or broken, but also that it's actually not treated in a way that's gonna destroy it over time. So we looked at other guidelines, in places like New Bedford, and other places. Baltimore has excellent guidelines. And then we also looked at a manual on historic pavement, put out by the Government of Ireland, which is really detailed and very informative. We proposed draft guidelines. We will be discussing them with Rob McNeil because we certainly want to take into account considerations important to the people who are actually building and working with the pavement. We're also meeting with the town manager and the chair of the select board to talk about what they're looking for in terms of guidelines. But we felt that this was a start. We decided to pass it as a draft, and we'd love to have feedback on it.
Very good. Did you were at the meeting in February when, what's his name, McNeil was there?
Yes.
And you remember he said he was going to have samples of the roadway out at the DPW?
Yes.
And they were going to be there so we could see them,
Yes.
trucks could run over them?
Yes.
That, I have not seen them, have you?
I have not seen them. I haven't heard anything formally about them. I've
But
not.
he did say that they
Yeah.
were, that
Yeah.
that's what he was gonna
Yeah.
do. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, Diane. I also want to mention, it's my mistake, these are our minutes and the guidelines are not here. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to forward you the packet. It is posted on the town website. It's all publicly available, but I can forward you the packet, which has the proposed guidelines.
Please do.
That would be great.
It might just be through process-wise to do through.
Send it to Kathy. Yeah, I can do that. And again, you know, if you want to add it to the agenda, we can discuss it. You know, the Historical Commission is very interested in working jointly with the HDC, thinking about how we can divide up. There's just a tremendous amount of work beyond design review to really keep Nantucket historic. We have a committee of 7 people and 2 alternates who are really engaged, and we want to work with you. So if you'd like to discuss maybe a special meeting of a subset of you or all of you to talk about agenda items that we might work on over the year, I'd really invite that, and the whole commission would as well.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask that we do add to the agenda discussion of process related to the guidelines for historic paving and streetscapes, and that it would be something we would maybe do on a Thursday, so that we could invite members of the Nantucket Historical Commission to answer
Right.
questions.
So, will you write,
No, HDC. You're at the right place.
would you write that down so we'll get that on the
Yes.
agenda?
So
And we
discussion,
can check with the,
Process.
discussion process of
Yes.
historic paving and streetscapes, by the Nantucket Historic Commission.
In reviewing this quickly, as I said before, Nantucket was built, made of wood. It's been wood ever since, that I ever counted here. And what I'm trying to get at is that they put their ballers up, DPW, with no permit. They've done other stuff without permit. They're putting benches around, they're not Nantucket style benches. That's what you should look into, bring back the old and throw this new stuff out. Just tell me, they shouldn't have done it. And the town sits back and lets them get away with it. Our own department does that, and it's wrong. And you gotta do something with the board of selectmen so they'll open their eyes more what's going on around this town. But I say, these ballers, you might go be in Boston. You know, I'm just saying, I'm very strong on Nantucket, you all know I am, so that's my comment there. They should get permits first. If they don't, well, fire them.
great,
My opinion. Thank you.
thank you. Hillary, we'll have, our board be in touch with you and, make a date, perhaps on a Thursday, or if not, we'll do it on Tuesday when the agenda is short, and we can make some suggestions and listen to your suggestions and see what we can, work out. There are some very great rules in the federal government for the Historic Commission, and I am more than delighted to see that once again it is functioning, but it is not subservient to any other commission. It is actually, if you look at rules and regs, it is the leading commission of the historic, protecting the historic areas. So that's a good thing, you have a good crew.
You do have a good group, thank
Yeah.
you for saying that.
Very nice, nice committee.
Thank you. Terrific, well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thanks,
Aye.
come on.
Thank you for bringing this stuff up,
Thank you.
Lori.
Sure,
Good-
pleasure to
good
be
speech.
here. Thank you.
Remember what I said.
So now we're on to 2, which is consent. Can I have a motion to approve the consent?
So moved.
Everybody can be on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need one alternate.
I've seen,
Jesse, we'll start with you. We'll go around this way.
How
Yes,
come we need an
Madam Chair.
alternate?
Cause there are only 4 items.
Ray's not here.
Oh,
What you doing there, Vanna?
I'm holding up the thing for the camera.
All right, so all those in favor and 1 abstention. The next one is signs. Is Kevin here?
Yep, you're here.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't wear my glitter gown.
You're hired,
I
Brooke.
think Brooke needs something to do.
Same.
Welcome, Kevin.
Oh, so tell us.
My part's not nearly as exciting as the preceding. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 for NIR and Egan Maritime are on hold for representation.
Oh, so
Okay.
Motion to hold for representation.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Numbers 4 and 5 are hold for revisions.
Revision,
Motion to hold number 4 and 5 for revisions.
already. May I just tell you something that I saw the other day and I didn't really know what it was, and I saw it again on my way over here, is the building that used to be an antique shop on Orange Street, top of the hill before you get down like 120 or 170, I mean, is a consignment shop
Yeah,
now, and it has all its clothes outside. Is that okay?
they have not applied for a sign for anything that I'm aware of yet. I think there may have already been a photograph submitted on it. But I do believe it's okay to have, your merchandise out as long as it isn't alcohol related merchandise. But don't quote me on that, that's my.
On,
There's a house on Atlantic.
The other way around.
I thought we didn't, I thought we
You
did
back,
that.
yeah.
People
We'll
put
just do
clothes.
whatever you want.
There's, some of it, perhaps worth tackling, but we've got a lot of other things that are.
Right, it's just, it had the whole front porch. Looks like their store outside.
Yeah.
That's all. On the signs, 4 is the Brock building, and then over in the back it has 5. So 4 and 5 both are on, and 3 are on revisions, right?
4 and 5.
4 and 5 are to hold for revisions.
Okay. And may I have a motion on that?
I thought we already did, but.
Okay, I didn't know.
4
we
and
had-
5, hold for revision.
TJ made a motion
Okay.
on that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the
All right.
5th one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Making a motion to postpone.
I think you must be very busy right at the moment, huh? All right, so we start with old business. Jim Horowitz, self.
Do we take up moving Linda's stuff back to its spot?
Yeah, we did that at the beginning.
No,
we
now
moved it
she's
to the end.
here.
She's here now, wants to move back.
Motion.
Wow.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Nothing,
opposed?
just,
Moving stuff.
Moving agenda items. Linda's gonna be back in her assigned spot on the agenda.
This is the,
We're just, look, John, we're
building
just
at
moving
71
six,
project
7, and
where he
8.
wanted to put the spiral
Already
staircase in the deck.
Oh, they're
I don't
not.
know.
Oh, yeah, what
I
happened
don't
to
know if
that?
anybody's here for that.
No, he said he couldn't come back, could we review
That's
it
right,
based on the
that's
viewing?
right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, let's
Now we're
let's
moving
do
it
it.
back to now.
Let's see that
And he
spiral
put the
staircase.
So
whole
we're doing
lobby
6,
up.
7, and 8.
You're all
Yeah.
beautiful beings.
He had the
So-
plans right this
We're
time.
doing
I hope.
6, 7, and 8 in row, in
So the
sequence.
board for this is Holcomb's, McLaughlin, Camp, and Oliver, and Waterston was an alternate.
So, Camp, Waterston,
So I'm on this because Paul's not here.
Johnny, was Johnny on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 5.
We're doing that now.
Okay,
No, I did
No, I'm
not
just
start
saying you
that.
moved it back to where it was.
Pass one back.
you want to pass one back,
Oh,
which I
jeez.
have both.
This meeting is out of control.
I know.
Ah, we lost it.
At least we have some drawings, and some floor plans. And
Yeah, this is, sort of contingent on being visible from,
all I see is the as-built. I don't
I
see-
know.
There's no proposed here.
Ruh-roh.
Don't be incomplete.
That's a paperwork error.
It was held for view with
Yep.
post
Yep.
on the pergola, show where the deck was, and for submittal of 1/4 inch scale drawings.
Kathy,
he
you
did.
have the previous submission
But
with you?
they're only
No,
existing.
that wasn't asked to make changes.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for the previous submission, because there's no proposed
These
in
are
this.
just existing, no, they don't show.
They
the stairs.
misunderstood what we were asking for, I think.
Yeah,
He wasn't-
okay, so
It's not stapled.
All right, well,
Just
we
one
didn't-
copy?
We didn't draw the
Yeah,
the
yeah, we don't
deck.
keep them.
So we don't have any more copies?
We don't
Okay.
keep the big ones and send it.
Can you use this?
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with it, so
I think I'm okay with
I'll
it
ask
too.
one.
There we go.
I'll pass it to somebody else.
who wants to see this?
we
Oh,
all
John.
need to see it.
This is July 5th as well, so that's the same one.
can I have that one for John?
Just double check.
This is the one that.
So this is the existing conditions. And then this is the
I'm coming out
proposed.
at all these angles. I suppose that's done for a view, right?
Yeah, I guess it's pretty.
So it's in front of this, right here.
It's a nice house.
Yes, it's
Simple.
the window
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this is.
at the south elevation.
Did anybody
Okay,
view
you're gonna
it?
get a chance to talk.
Did anybody
Because
get out
if
to
you
view
viewed
it?
it, you would see you can't see it.
Yeah, I think Abby viewed it and said the same.
All right, do I have a motion on this then? Johnny, have you got something you'd
No, I
like?
have a comment.
Yeah.
You can have Poacher Avenue, and I didn't make the viewing, but what I'm saying is, apparently from going down the street and going from Weeder Avenue, it's on the back side of the building, but it's, I think, possibility that spiral stairways are not appropriate anywhere that is visible. And, I can't question, anybody else want to look at it?
Yes, you can't see the house even.
Okay, fine, I'll go along with that.
All right, can I have a motion on that one?
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Due to lack
Aye.
of visibility?
Yes. Okay, the other, next one, all those in favor said aye. Anybody opposed? The next one is 7 Cashelot, a new dwelling.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the HDC.
Thank you.
Here,
Third time lucky.
The board on this from the 23rd was Holcomb's, McLaughlin, Camp, and Waterston. But did you review the, because you didn't have the plans?
We talked about the door.
We have the correct set of plans this time.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Better do, otherwise it's gonna be.
No, that wasn't the issue. I was gonna get it.
Everybody
Yeah.
that served on
There
it
you
will
go.
serve this time, we don't change.
Was there an alternate?
No, but it was an alternate the week before, the time before, that was.
You and Jesse were the alternate.
Oh,
No, on the July 9th meeting.
Was the July 9th meeting opened on this matter?
July
Yes.
9th, yes, there was discussion that was held for more information relative to the application.
And then the
And
sub,
And then the 23rd, it was Pole, Coons,
Yeah,
McLaughlin, Camp,
the
and Larson. with
23rd,
it was
Yeah,
open.
I
It
can't
was
talk
opened
on
as
it,
new
'cause I wasn't
business.
on it.
but
He didn't.
this isn't new business, right? This is the one that was,
So there's,
it was
with their discussion,
this was held for old business by unanimous consent, and Paul wanted any discussion stricken because it was not the sitting board that was speaking.
Right.
gotcha.
Mhm.
So what happened on the 23rd is out the window.
So it's,
back to the
so
ninth.
we still have an
Going back to the
alternate
ninth.
then, right?
So TJ will still be the alternate, because we're going around
Well,
this way.
Well, I
TJ
was
was
on it.
sitting on it.
Oh, you were sitting on it,
I think I was.
1, 2, 3,
The board on the
You have
ninth,
four, you
well,
need
sorry,
one
sorry,
alternate.
I was my mistake. Board on the ninth was Paul Coons McLaughlin, no, look at the drawing. Paul Coons McLaughlin Camp, Waterson, alternates Welch and Dutro.
Jesse, you want it?
Sure.
Is that okay with you, Madam Chair?
TJ is on.
He was already sitting on it.
Yeah,
So
so it's
you need
going
an
to you.
Oh, it goes to me?
Yes, we're going around clockwise for once.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
Just trying to get it all squared away. There you go.
I thought you talked on it, because you said,
I thought so too.
yeah,
But I just wanted to make sure we were all focused on it.
I thought you said it was typical 5A.
Andrew, did you change are you still natural to weather on this, or did you change to a color?
The plan had initially to be natural. The last time we were having the discussion, it sounded like Ray didn't particularly like the idea. I changed it from having clapboard on the front to having shingles, just because I figured it would make it look less long and blocky.
Right.
But that was kind of where we left it, so.
Well, since I'm speaking, I'll go ahead and speak. I've got 2 comments for you, and as far as I'm concerned, the house is nice, it fits the area, and it's really close. And I think whatever my comments are could easily be done through staff and updating the drawings, is that you updated your shutters to be half the width of the window.
Correct.
But I think you removed the middle, there was no middle rail in them. If we can get a middle rail where the sashes meet of the double hung windows, that would be fantastic.
Why did
Oh, yeah.
Whoever builds the shutters will
Sure.
probably want to
Sure,
do it that
sure.
way
Yep,
anyway.
Yep.
the windows need
And my only other comment is in your gable 3rd floor window, you've got a 3032. You've also got it on the additive mass on the back. I'd like to see that be like a 2832. So you take 4 inches of width out of it to make the pane size proportionate
Okay,
to the rest of the panes, and that's it. I think it looks nice. It's great.
thank you.
So what's the number of the window you want him to turn to?
Right here, 3032 to a 2832.
Okay. Abby.
Well, I still think the fan is a little formal for right down the street here. And I also, think if you're going with the shutters, that the shutters, the trim and the sash should be painted. I think shutters in natural to weather, I've never seen that.
No, not, I was kind of thinking maybe a Hamilton blue probably for the shutters.
And then what would the trim and sash be?
I'm guessing probably just white.
White, okay, I'd go along with that.
Okay. Johnny,
Left elevation.
west elevation? Don't have a west, I have a left. Do we have a couple?
Let's see, west is,
It's left. It's left. Yeah, this is proposed.
yes, he's right.
This previously submitted?
Yeah, he made changes on the front and he addressed the scale of the drawing. That was the change on this one, correct, Andrew?
Yes, correct.
Okay, Johnny?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Steve?
I think it's a nice design for the area. I think it's appropriate. It kind of reminds me of some stuff out on Duke's Road, where it's more country, but it's still formal. The shingle facade, I think, helps. the change to the Hamilton blue. I agree, TJ's comments, adding a slat midway up on the louvers for each of the shutters completely makes sense. And I have no concerns.
Okay,
You had some
I-
concerns on the size of the chimney, I think, last time. You thought it was
I didn't like
a little
Yeah,
big.
the chimney, but I have some other things I want to say.
Sure.
Is, I think the fan over the door is not appropriate. It is a downtown more thing than cash block. That's just my opinion. I appreciate the shutters, they are to be wood,
Mhm.
and with the crossbar on them, the window changes are fine, and we talked about the chimney to the point where on your first floor, obviously you have a fireplace,
Yes.
working fireplace in there. And then I could see the corbelling on the left-hand side, but that's bar that goes across right under that corbelling, what is that? Does it go into the chimney?
I'm not quite sure what you mean.
You've got, so
This is
you've got
the part that.
two little chimneys coming out of a sort of a squared off top. Did you wanna see it corbelled at the top?
I want to see it corbelled at the top.
Do you know what you know what we mean by corbelled? It just steps in, like two or
Okay.
three,
Or out.
layers.
Or out.
Draw it.
What is,
Your mason will basically add a little bit of girth.
It's just
around
a-
the
I think,
top.
I know what you mean.
It doesn't show up on it.
Probably in,
two
yeah.
courses of brick just stepping
Well, that's
in
just
towards
that
the
shoulder.
center.
and then I was, again, you
You
drive
don't
along.
think it's
Yeah.
too wide?
No, and I believe
do.
I asked you whether how many flues you had going up, and you said you only had one?
Yes. I think the original idea had been to have a second fire in the second place, but I've
And
scrapped
if
that
you
idea.
did only have, if you didn't have only one, I think the chimney might be able to come in a little bit. It's very wide for a one flue.
It's about 5 feet wide, yeah. Oh, you mean the chimney as it goes past?
Oh, yeah. That we could do that if necessary, to bring it in a little bit, we could do it through staff, if you understand what we mean.
Steve's gonna draw it.
About how many inches do you suppose? About 4 to 6 inches?
My scale was
say a
in the
foot.
back of Diane's.
A whole
car.
foot?
I'd say a foot.
Okay.
It's gonna be really skinny at a foot less.
I think a foot less is a bit much.
I'd say 6
Oh, I'm
inches.
What
sorry,
about
I thought you
9
were talking
inches?
about the top.
Oh.
You're talking about the width, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
6 inches, I would suggest.
could I try a motion?
Yep,
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna try a motion to approve through staff with any 3032 window changed to a 2832 window. A mid-rail added to the shutters, and for the colors to be white trim, white sash, and Hamilton blue shutters. And for the chimney to have corbelling added, and for the neck to be narrowed by 6 inches in width.
And what about the trim of the house? That's to be painted white.
White trim, white sash, Hamilton blue shutters.
what about the front door?
I don't mind it.
I also did find, just as I was driving in on Nobodier Farm Road, there's a house with
Okay.
a Georgian fan
I
light,
think the
and
Georgian thing gives it a little bit of personality, even though it's a bit atypical.
Okay.
So it's not in my motion.
I'm with you, I second that.
Alright, that is the motion.
You want it
Can you make it
for
Exhibit
your
A?
Exhibit A, so.
And
Yeah.
I've written it up.
Okay, yeah, I'll make per exhibit A, and I'll mark it up.
Okay,
I got it, TJ.
I took
Okay.
a photograph of that, if anybody
And-
would like to see.
We're over that.
Yeah.
So this means if approved, then you would just update the drawings and hand them in at the office.
and
What color is the door, Kathy's asking?
I would like to do, I'd probably do Hamilton blue on that as well.
And the trim is
Added to
white.
the motion.
okay, all those in favor of TJ's motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? So,
Hamilton blue shutter
Hamilton blue shutters, Hamilton
door.
blue front door,
and white trim.
white trim, and you've got the window change, right?
Yep,
To
the
the
two
283.
3032s to 2832s, remove
Yeah.
6 inches from the width of the chimney, and add slats per each shutter. And I truly
Corbel
mark.
atop.
In the corbel.
And the corbel. Thank you for reminding me.
2 or 3 layers in that.
That is all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If you have any
Much
other problem,
appreciated.
let us know.
Yeah,
Will do.
enjoy
Thank you.
your house.
I will
We'll
try my
work it
best.
out. Okay, the next one is Brooke with 2 Howard Court.
This has not been heard.
All right, so this would be Jesse.
If for full business.
It was held for representation, because I
Sorry.
wasn't here.
Oh, is this the little,
This one is this.
little bump out?
Pump out, pump up.
Anyway, I will read past that. It says, this is Angus, Lucy, Michael, that was there. And it was planned, completely changed character of structure. This is Howard Street and neighborhood. Character of structure and neighborhood, sorry, they put the word in wrong, across from Greater Lake. And Jason was there too. So that's all they got to say. So why don't you tell us what you've done?
There should be photos in the folder. Pretty sure I brought some in.
How old is it?
The building was, there's a survey in there, and on the application, I actually put the date on it. And there are also Sanborn maps. I believe it was built between the 1923 and the 1949 Sanborn maps.
Oh, did we discuss, you weren't here, were you?
I was not here, but I thought it was a motion to hold for representation,
It
so
was.
if there was
Yeah.
any discussion, then it was without me.
Here's the pictures.
Yeah, cause it isn't there in 23,
It's-
it is there in 49.
Yep, and so it looks like it was probably built in the mid to late 30s. The roof structure has 2x stock, like 1.5 inch by 5.5 inch modern 2x lumber, and you know, I think that while quaint and charming, I will not disagree with that. You know, it's really it's kind of borderline in terms of whether or not it's an historic structure now. Contributing, I guess that's up to you guys to sort of hash out.
We don't seem to have anything, bringing up. Date of initial construction was circa 1930.
Under the deck.
Not as old as I thought. Okay, so tell us any other questions about the age or anything else?
Is this a demo or are you just?
No, they're building over the existing walls. It used to be a garage. It was filled in with that bank of windows on the first floor, facing Howard Court. And if you look at the HTC survey, you'll see the picture of it as it was originally. And my clients would like to put another floor on the building and also some bathroom areas and a mudroom.
Another floor, what's the height now?
The height right now is 21 and a half, I think,
Now
and
they're adding 7 feet.
we're adding 7 feet.
This is.
Who would like to begin? Anybody?
I'll ask a question. Was it on our view list? I don't remember seeing it. Cause I'd like to see what's around it.
Yeah.
Just looking at this and the photos and then to the drawing, it seems like it's a lot to add a whole other floor, but I wanna see the context.
And if you haven't seen the context,
Yeah.
then I think that makes sense.
Does anybody have any comment, that they want to say before we take a motion for review?
I'd like to say that I'm worried about the scale of the, intent, proposed. I also want to stand there on the corner and look around and see what the height of the other buildings are. To me, this is very in keeping with Howard Court and the scale that's there. And I don't want to lose that, because.
Can I take a look?
Yeah.
How tall is Greater Light?
Greater Light is, I mean, just visually, it looks like it's maybe about the same height, if not a little bit smaller. But Greater Light is also built into a berm. Right next to Greater Light, there is a 2-story Quaker-style building, and then there's of course the Homestead, which is on Main Street, and that's probably,
done.
yeah.
I was trying to think what was
Oh, and
beyond
there's also
Greater Light. Is there another house?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of houses. There's I can't remember the name of it, but there's another little building further into Howard Court that's probably about the same height.
Okay, so it would be good.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'm with Val on this, I'd like to hold for a review.
All those in favor?
Madam Chair, would someone like to make a comment about this application?
I wanted to make a comment because I live in this neighborhood and I go to this location frequently. In fact, I was there today. And I have also spoken with the Historic Structures Advisory Board about this particular structure. So I'm very glad it seems like you all want to look at it. I just want to say, having looked at it recently, this is one of the most charming buildings on Howard Court. It is very present in your view when you come out of Greater Light, which is owned, as you all know, by the Nantucket Historical Association. For tourists and people who come to Nantucket and people who live in Nantucket because we love it, this building epitomizes the charming cottages on the quiet little lanes of Nantucket. The idea of raising this 7 feet and changing the hip roof and the, I don't know if the hip roof is or the roof is going to be changed, but the idea of raising it, having it loom over Greater Light, which is a distinctive building, it will change the whole feeling of the street. So I do hope you'll take a look at this very closely. I'm really concerned about the petite cottages that are so charming in our town gradually being expanded to the great detriment of the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna hold for review?
Yes.
Motion.
All those in favor of holding for review?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay. The next one is Walter at 20B Evergreen.
Linda. 4 and 5 is off.
This is TJ?
Oh, here.
Is she here?
Linda.
Oh,
Okay, so,
I'm only gonna do
I
the first
don't-
one, the other two I'm putting over.
I
so
don't know.
you're doing 30
Diane?
feet evergreen? Linda?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe this has been heard.
Brooke,
No, it's been held multiple times for
First
representation.
thing.
That's how I ended up with it.
Previously approved.
Where's Nancy? Or she doesn't work for them?
Do,
What do you mean
Kim.
hold over? You wanna,
they're going over the next meeting.
next Tuesday?
Okay, I'll talk to Ray. 7 and 8 are being held. This is 6.
Okay, we're not doing that one.
Who's on this one?
Have we got a board?
It
There is no board.
Okay, so it is UTJ, right?
Okay.
So who do
All
I
right.
have? Diane, Val, John, Abby, and TJ?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to give us a quick rundown?
I don't know, 4 and 5.
Yeah. I'm gonna hand these out. It's an unfortunate situation that he owns a residential lot on Evergreen that backs up to your front picture.
This thing is awful though.
This is,
No,
What's that?
John also asked for a picture of the lot, and there you go.
Which house does he got?
He doesn't. What you're looking at is Richmond.
Right.
He owns the residential lot that has the trees, the minimal trees, but has the trees on it. No, that's just everybody else backing up to it.
I think that it would be inappropriate to put the fence all the way around to the property line.
No,
but
I
I'd be-
didn't,
I could support putting it 25 feet back from the front line.
that's what I was gonna tell him. I said all the way across the back, so it stops them, because people are coming in and out of his lot into Evergreen from there. And then 25 feet or 30 feet down both sides, and then a split rail fence along the rest of it, which he doesn't need approval for.
I mean, potentially, we don't even want it on the front, because if he ever builds a house there, then it's gonna have a fence
No,
and
we
a gate
don't.
in between.
Yeah,
in
no,
front
I
of it.
told him he wouldn't get the 6-foot fence on the road, on the Evergreen side, so he was fine with going across the back, halfway down the sides, and then the rest would be a split rail to keep people off the lot, because people are using his lot for everything else.
So what we've been doing typically, Linda, with these tall fences is requesting that every so many sections, there's some sort of vegetation.
Every third.
There's nothing here, guys.
no,
except
it would be
Richmond.
part of the,
I understand that, but, you know, he sold it to them, he knew what was gonna happen there.
Well, not that they were gonna take all the vegetation down between the residential lots on Evergreen and Richmond.
Well,
why
so,
are they
reason for
responsible for
vegetation.
putting it back?
What?
All
For
the reasons.
somehow
Good
making
luck.
a buffer.
I think
Could you
if,
go for that?
Because they're
You know,
building right up to
Let's
it.
May
try
I-
and talk one at
This
a time.
ahead.
Val is talking.
Right, I'm just, they're talking to me
Never
too.
mind what they're doing. You say
we have tried to make it a policy with these fences, especially along the property line, and we've made other people adhere to it, so I don't think that we can make an exception. It's not gonna kill him to put the fence in a little bit and put, I don't know, something.
I actually think the front fence line should be hedged with the chicken wire, and then I'm fine with the gate, like a cattle gate.
He's not doing anything in the front except for a split rail. He's not
Split
screening,
rail
he's not
only?
screening on
Okay.
the Evergreen side, just a
No.
split rail.
And what's happening on the 146 side?
On the 146 side, we wanted to bring the 6-foot down halfway on both sides and then pick up the split rail for the whole rest of it. So from the Evergreen side, it's split rail, split rail. He just wants to keep everybody off the property, which seems to be a difficult prospect at the moment until everything's built out back there.
Alright, but you understand about the fence in the back is that
You don't want me to screen it from Richmond, correct?
I know,
Just
we
from
don't care
the
about
Evergreen
Richmond.
side?
On this side, looking up from Evergreen because it's right view and all the houses going down the rest of Evergreen do not belong to him. We wanted to look somewhat good because if he puts a house there, and the fence is wrong, we're stuck with it. So we
Yeah.
would like to have planting put on the Evergreen side of the fence.
Okay. How often, Val, 8 feet or?
It's
lean
every,
cypress?
what's,
Every other panel, really?
So every
8 feet?
Every 8
Panels
feet.
are 8 feet.
Every other section is what we've been doing.
Okay.
At least.
You can use a simple
But
thing,
you can do more.
climbing.
I don't think you'll do it until everything's built because it'll
Yeah,
just get
I just-
crucified out there.
But he owns a house almost across the street.
Down the street some.
Oh yeah, and if we're gonna approve 5 and 1, we wanna have orthogonal lattice and not the diagonal.
I
Yeah.
told him that.
No, Vale's doing an exhibit, because this is
So-
all messed up.
Johnny, do you have a comment?
Yes, she says. I can't read it.
Here, John, this is easier.
Let me finish, please.
This is easier.
You don't know what I'm gonna ask. Okay,
Yeah, I
just
do,
sit
'cause
down,
that's all
please.
screwed up.
Sit down, and let me handle it.
Well, you wanna
Let him
answer or
do,
not?
he's
I do, no,
right,
No, I'm just explaining where it is.
but
stop talking.
That's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
let's not have bickering back and forth
He's always
I don't think
between
it
the
is. We're all friends here.
But he's always
All right, let's
disrespectful.
go back, all right, no. Oh, what did that say?
Now you want an answer? It's a gate to match fence, so there's gonna be a gate, there's no gate, okay? Then I'll draw it on there, it's easier. Okay. We're gonna do 6 and 1, a 5 and 1, down to here, down to here, 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 and here. We close that off,
Such a waste of time.
that's what he's doing.
Where is this you looking, is that
Here.
back here?
It's back here,
That's over there.
yeah.
Thank you.
Is this gonna be,
Here.
okay. Now, are you all set, Johnny? Have you got any problems?
Five and one fence
Yes,
in an open field?
it is not an open field, it's gonna go back at the end of his property,
showing
which is
that?
gonna separate his property from Richmond's property.
My question is, you got 67 feet here, and this half of 116 here.
6 foot. Fence.
Okay.
Plants, every other section, split rail along the sides, split rail across the front.
John is right about here,
No gate, right?
right about there,
No, there is a gate.
There is a gate?
right about there.
Is it a gate or an opening?
It's
It'll
a
be an
gate.
opening, I don't know how you can put a gate there.
The other houses are over here. Am I correct?
The houses are right behind that.
Would you write an
And those aren't even the houses, the houses haven't been built back there yet. They're coming from somewhere.
Okay, so we have got a fence to go across the back that, is 5 and 1.
Yeah, I'll
Goes
get you the-
halfway down each side.
Yep.
Until it becomes a split rail,
We have an exhibit A now.
and then you have asked, although we don't seem to be doing it for a gate, it says fence and gate.
Well, he'll just put a split rail across the front.
Okay, that's fine,
Yeah,
we got to qualify that, and we will submit an exhibit A.
And square lattice, not diagonal.
Right.
So all of those in favor of
Natural to weather, guys.
Sal's motion,
Aye.
say aye.
Do I have more eyes?
Is
Aye,
that,
aye,
I'm gonna
is that a
abstain.
through staff approval?
Yes.
Yes,
So it's
I'll abstain
basically
too.
for exhibit A.
yeah, per exhibit A.
Valid, did you already mark up exhibit A, so I don't have to bring a new one in?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's right there.
so it's sort of staff approval.
No, just make a copy of it.
Okay,
Okay, thank
thanks.
you.
And
The
put the
other
other,
two-
the other two are going over.
The other two we're holding, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the next is, 12 Darramore. Yes, we did,
We
So for,
abstain.
so for 12 Darramore,
They're not being open.
they're nothing,
They're not being open.
I
Oh,
believe that
very
they
nice.
wanted to.
For 12 Darramore, we need a motion, we need a motion for 20 Willard, 20 Willard and 143.
Oh, to hold over?
oh, to go back again.
So moved.
So,
Sorry.
all
20
those in
Willard
favor
and
of
143
holding the
Orange.
last two of Linda's stuff?
Okay, now.
Yes,
So
aye.
moved.
All right. Everybody who's in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
7 and 8 are being held.
All right, so now we are at 9,
7 and 8 are being
Darramore
held.
Investments.
No, they're not here, but the meeting on the 25th, they said they weren't gonna be here, but they did send a site plan and footprint, and I did email you that as well.
Yeah.
So motion to hold 9 through 12 for representation?
No, let's just
No, he
review
said
it.
he wouldn't
Oh,
be here.
We're
but
gonna
to
vote.
review
He
it.
wanted it reviewed without him
Yes.
being here.
Okay.
And the board on this is Paul McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Say it again.
Paul McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
All right, so you get to be chairman
Why?
because,
Just go for it.
So it's really just 3 of you.
Now, I actually have that printout, do you have it?
These two, these 3.
Okay.
These
that's
two
for,
are held. Held.
Yeah.
This is the site plan.
Right.
Yeah, let's
Well,
right here, okay?
alright,
Sit in the yard, sit at the beach.
I went, who's on it, us three?
Yes.
Okay, this is
Yes,
pictures of the
Madam Chair.
neighborhood. Just, so
Some
you see,
pictures of the neighborhood.
for the context,
This is where you grew up.
I thought I was gonna get to
And
speak
this little
on it.
house. Bill, there's no prohibition on you speaking.
Did you just say yes? I said, are you coming to the meeting?
Alright.
Okay,
Oh, we have one, thank you. Well, she's gonna take comments, there's only 3 of us on this. Me, you, and Val, so get ready.
I just, you know, it was sick.
Well, they wanna put, this is the existing footprint, this is the proposed house, proposed garage studio, and proposed shed. These are pictures of the neighborhood, which you know well. And he's taken some comments from us. And Val was gonna start, I think, cause she had some comments.
yes, I did. Is that acceptable?
Please proceed.
Okay. I think his site plan is really telling as to the change in the size and scale of this
This is.
site.
That's the new house,
Yeah.
and that's the old house?
Okay, so having gone up there, I do see that there are a lot of 2-story structures, but I didn't see anything that was particularly as large a footprint. I think he's trying to match what's behind him, which is Gingy Lane. And this is Derrymore, which is a simpler sort of street. Now, while I appreciate the house is simple, I do think there are some things that I would want to see changed, and one is to eliminate the odd salt box form.
Which sheet are you on?
I'm on A200 on the north elevation, which faces the street.
Can't wait till we get these on the big screen, you know what I mean?
I thought he should cut off the gable so that it was a more even gable and run the porch across the front, which is more typical in the neighborhood, as opposed to a salt box-ish form with the front door on the low end, and maybe put a dormer here. I also thought the dorm roof pitch was rather steep, and that the windows should be perhaps double hung as opposed to the little transoms that he's put in there. And then lastly, to drop all of the dormers down on top of the head casing of the windows.
So primarily roof massing and additive massing on the roofs, and then some fenestration changes.
Yeah, it was the front mostly that I thought.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just my comments.
Yep.
Are you guys ready?
Johnny, ready to comment?
Yes, south elevation. Right, the meeting rails do not line up here, about a foot below. As well as the north elevation. The other comment is you have 4 casement windows. And some casement windows. They are located. They're located on the west elevation. There's 3 of them. And one on the south elevation. Are they fixed, or should they be fixed?
I don't see, we didn't get floor plans in our view pack, so I couldn't tell.
So John, your concerns are the meeting rails and the casement windows if they're casement.
Right. Should be fixed.
Second page is the windows.
Okay.
The second page is the windows.
Yeah. any others, John?
No, that's it, they can fix windows. Or 3/3, whatever, it's up to them.
Val, I concur with your concerns. I think that the size on the lot, it overwhelms the lot. The combination of the two structures, more so the primary dwelling, the application in front of us. And then the stylistic aspects, you know, meeting rails, I think on the south are gonna be visible from, not Barrymore, what's the street behind it? Gingy. So for consistency, I would concur on that. And then I think the roof massing that you pointed out is problematic. However, if the overall structure were to be reduced, I think that that kind of goes away from me. A smaller structure, those elements that you were trying to modify or brought up, personally, I think have less of an impact if it's a smaller structure. But if it's a bigger structure, I think there needs to be modifications. So if the applicant is gonna keep trying to propose the structure with the footprint as it is, they need to make modifications to the roof masses and the roof additive masses. Otherwise, they make it smaller, the design will be overall acceptable, I believe.
And how do you feel about the salt box?
That fits in. So if the structure's overall smaller, I think it's appropriate, and I think if it's, if they're gonna keep that footprint, they need to make changes to the roof massing.
Can I make a statement as a general person?
I think so.
Yeah. Valerie, I had a question, the meeting wheel, they're gonna be adjusted.
Yep,
Yeah.
they're putting that in the minutes.
I don't think we're making a motion.
Huh?
If you look at the new thing
I'm not making a motion.
on the house,
You can't.
it runs from sideline to sideline with structure. This is not typical of Darramore. They don't
I mean,
fill up everything. The new building going in is more than twice the size of the existing building, which did not go from sideline to sideline, which gave them planting around the back, which is consistent with Darramore. So I'm just suggesting that it be reduced in size overall. The 71 feet at the front of, it's not really the front of it, it's the side of it, is the width of the lot, and it goes from one setback to the other. And he's got some sort of planting, which I don't know exists or not, along Darramore, and along the whole thing. And then you have a shed, which will be visible from Darramore, right in front. And then I guess this is the garage studio, right?
those are up next.
Yeah.
That's up separate, I'll hold my mouth.
A motion to hold for revisions. Oh, here, Bill. Do you want those to go to the application?
Yeah, don't you think those were helpful?
Yeah. I went over.
Keep those,
Okay.
Who is that person?
So the next one is the same board. You have your
Yep, I have my little one. Yeah.
Pardon me?
I have them in all the applications.
We're doing those now.
Oh, thank you.
I think that my comment's the same on this salt box thing. I would make the gable even and lower the shed roof of the porch. It's more typical.
Anything else?
No.
Comments?
Yes. Two sheet windows, casements. Should be fixed.
I'm starting to see a trend here with John on the case. Anything else? I don't mind the salt box form so much on this structure. And John and I have a fundamental disagreement on case windows. Motion to, what should we do with this? Revisions or track or?
I would just, I guess, track whatever they do to the
Okay.
bigger house.
So a motion to track the house. We're gonna track the house. That's the motion. Tracking.
Okay, next is the shed,
Okay.
right?
The shed is pretty simple,
Okay, correct.
but it's kind of an oddball placement on the front of the lot.
And the shed too?
The shed, we're gonna take a look at, I think.
It's not very clear.
Ooh.
Bifold door. Oh, and the other thing is the colors black and gray. I think that's inappropriate in town.
Oh, okay.
I
Shed.
forgot to mention it on the other two. Are they gonna come in for a pool? Is this a pool house?
See the old stone, that's right there, more, I don't know.
Hey, basement. So Val, your concerns are the placement?
Yes, and, if the doors that are sliding, whatever they are, bifold, can be seen, that's a little bit of an anomaly.
Okay.
And
John?
the color,
And the color goes for the house and the.
yeah.
Okay, the casement should be fixed or?
I'm not concerned about the bifold door if it appears as a, typical V-groove vertical. I'm okay with that. If it appears as some oddity, then I think it's atypical and I would have a concern.
Okay.
Motion to track the others.
Okay.
Okay,
Did we vote on those? I guess we did. There being no dissent, unanimous consent.
it's being tracked with the thing. The next one is 2 Prospect Street, a shed for Carlisle, Amos.
Amos, good morning.
Amos.
Good afternoon.
It's already there.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Good morning.
Oh,
Good.
Gentlemen.
It's good morning somewhere.
Yes.
Welcome to the HCC.
I don't believe this has been.
2 Prospect shed.
Your name, sir?
Amos Carlisle.
You are? Oh, so Carlisle's your last name?
Yes, ma'am.
It's backwards on the
Oh.
agenda.
Yeah.
It's just the way they signed up.
I've been told where.
No, this is Creek Lane.
I'll take that.
2 Prospect.
Oh,
It's a small little thing.
How come people wanna call me in?
2 Prospect Street.
Yeah, I'm just looking for.
Oh,
It's what? I think they're only small.
Oh.
We never got
I
big
don't know what
plans.
no, well, you had it right the second time.
There's a fountain.
People keep
That's
calling
not
it
what
a
I-
she shed, and I resent that. It's a manly tool shed.
Oh, nice.
Oh, is that one though, right now?
Let's have a look at
It's a
this.
proper shed.
We don't
We have
seem
an
to have the paperwork for some reason. It got mixed up.
Motion to approve is submitted.
It's a built shed that's already there in an odd spot.
Okay.
On the street.
See if I can.
2 Prospect.
Let's have some of those
Maybe it got
cocktail
mixed
chips.
up.
There used to be a plastic shed in there.
Oh, we are after plastic sheds, boy, big
So-
time.
So it's
I
improved.
destroyed that.
So the plastic shed became wood.
Melted it down.
No, it's called Pickering is here too.
She sold it to the guy on,
What was that? One thing you gave me had his name on it.
Richmond or whatever.
That green thing, but it did have the original.
No. This is not a plastic shed. There was one there, but we removed it.
I don't have any plans for this, I just have the old ones.
Oh boy.
Was it on the view? Cause we can pull it up on our phone.
I don't even have
No, I
plans
don't remember
for
it
it.
in the view.
Hold on.
I don't remember seeing it on the view. But it was a shed, so I might not even look. Because a lot of times I'm not even activated.
When the
It's
meeting
the
was
problem,
being put
just in
together,
this
they might have.
Do you want me to go see if I can find it?
Throwing the plans away?
I can draw it.
Whose house is to Prospect?
Yes, ma'am, it's my home.
Here it is, I got a picture of it, cause I went to look at it, the view, whoops. So it's, they're right on the corner, this cute little house on the corner,
Yeah.
and this is the shed.
Well,
Are
I
there
don't like
plans
that.
in the view?
Why is it?
What?
Oh, I know what the, I
Yeah.
know the shed, okay.
Was it on the view list?
No, but I took a picture of it.
In honesty, I panicked when the rain started, and I went to the power tool.
That's why he's here, he's talking, listen.
Oh, I went to the power tool company and I said, you know what, I wanna take care of all the stuff around my property with my own tools. Then I discovered that I have nowhere to put the tools.
Does your shed have a permit?
That's why he's here.
Oh, it's.
You are trying to get a permit for an as-built.
Are they gonna remove it?
It's a wooden shed, right?
Yeah, it's just the walls and the roof on it, and that's it. It was just enough to keep the water from
This is it.
hurting the tool.
But it's gonna be shingled eventually, right?
This is it, this is
Everything's
what
good.
he submitted,
This is on the corner, you know where this is? It's on the corner of,
and it's
Milton
right
and
here.
Yeah,
Prospect.
Milton Cross.
2 or 3 houses up on the right.
Everything will look exactly like the house. It's-
Right, you know that little intersection?
Which corner, the brick wall
This is
one,
it.
or the one?
Catty corner to that.
It's the one closer to the windmill. If you came from the windmill to that intersection, this shed is 2 or 3 structures closer to the windmill on the right.
Here.
Going
Two
towards
divided,
the
like,
brick
are you
wall.
going to put a
Okay.
window in it?
I know
Oh,
what you mean.
here is
There's a
some.
little tiny one on
Mr.
the
Hedden
corner with a
said, just
purple
put a
door.
fixed
No,
window.
sorry, wait,
Yeah, would you
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
Some
asking
of
the
you, I can't hear
applicant.
all of you.
okay, well, Abby was seeking a clarification before anyone started talking, so I'd like to just make sure she
I
understands where it
didn't know
is.
where it was.
Thank you.
Okay. This is by the, group of women that say whether they approve of the building or not. And they have said that they like the batten door, but they feel that the location may be inappropriate. It said, move shed to back, off Prospect. So we would have to see the map again.
We're sharing, so it will come around.
That's the house with the brick retaining wall. And the windmill's
Is
here,
there room to put it
right
in the
there.
back?
Okay, gotcha.
No, ma'am, there is about 6.5 to 7 feet from the shed. There's still, from the shed, there's still, our privets. And after privets, there's a sidewalk, and afterwards the Prospect Street comes in.
Oh, I think you misunderstood, they meant push it back in your lot,
Oh.
off the
It's an
street.
as-built.
Yeah,
Could I see that so I could ask you questions?
Actually, here, it's on
Is that
this,
the
you
only
know
one
where
we
the house
have?
is.
Yeah. And the ones were in our
So
garage
the-
thrown away.
What about if you put it over on the other side of the deck? Could you do that?
Then it will be into the house. There's also a shower, outdoor shower.
On the shed?
No, not on the shed. Right next to the house. Somehow they decided to build the previous owners the outdoor shower right next to the house, letting it all rot on that side. So we removed the plastic shed and everything else. It was just pretty.
Yeah, that's. We're just trying to work with you so we cover our requirements as well
Yes,
as yours. And along Milk Street, your house corners on Milk and Prospect, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
And the front door faces,
Prospect.
yeah.
So this is all your property here, right?
Correct. The cottage, the main house.
And is it just saying, could you possibly put the shed up here so that it was not viewable from either Milk Street or Prospect Street?
It's not viewable from Milk Street whatsoever.
Okay.
It's not that
No,
high.
I can see that.
And then the privets that we just bought will be really tall.
Okay,
About 11 to 12 foot tall.
along your property line there on Prospect.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that is the explanation. Does anybody?
I'd like to see that, Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had.
Sharing.
Who is on this board?
If you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, it's
Hasn't
all
been
new.
heard.
So,
We're up to Jesse.
Jesse, you will be on, okay?
The shed, this one right here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Did you see the picture?
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I just got it, so I want some time.
I think the shed in and of itself is fine, it's just the location.
Is this an as-built?
We looked and looked and looked, and I just couldn't
Or-
find any.
It's at the corner of Milk and Prospect.
But
He's
it's
got-
already there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's
It's
already
not
there
finished,
because
though.
he had to contend with something falling down and the electric company wasn't doing anything about it. So he
Is it-
threw this up quickly. It's not shingled yet or. It
Is that rake board like literally hitting the house?
Valerie, that is green paper, please.
What are the dimensions of the shed?
So
that you-
is
that
there,
the
is there a
existing-
site plan that I can look at?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's 12 foot long, 12 by 8.
I have
12 by 8?
12 by 6, sorry.
I have 11-foot length and 6-foot width.
It's not very big.
I think we need some clarification though. I mean,
Do you wanna have a view?
I don't really, but I go by there all the time, so I can do a view really fast. I don't have it in my mind what it looks like, and I'm getting conflicting sizes. I don't know if it's shingled. I don't know if there's a.
It is
We
not
stopped
shingled.
immediately, I just
Please
wanted.
don't interrupt, please.
Okay, but your intention is to shingle it,
Absolutely,
Okay.
everything.
and I don't know if there are any windows.
No window.
One little one.
So would you want to, would you
Well,
feel
it's-
better
it
about
seems-
viewing it?
I would feel better if I had a complete application, so I really knew what I was looking at. Nothing,
Yes,
I just don't wanna vote on something I don't have all the information on. So I mean, in fairness to the rest of the public, where we don't put sheds right on the street, so.
Diane?
Yes.
My comments, number one, years back, not that far back, they wanted a building to this property, and it was turned down. And then they got a different version to build there.
quality, right?
Alright, now, this building here that we're looking at has never been applied for,
Correct.
alright? It was built, now, who built it?
Myself and my tenant, because I
I'm
did,
sorry?
myself and my tenant, it started raining and we needed to put all the tools. I spent like $20,000 on tools and I was like, they're rotting in the rain.
Okay, I'm trying to get something separated here, in our job as a commission. If there's a violation, we have to look into it and find out what happened, alright? Somehow you built it without a permit, alright?
Correct.
Now that's a findable,
I'm not paid to
fine, okay? And the other is, the suggestion here is to move it in the back somewhere, like on the upland, then. And when it, I can't explain it to you. There's a driveway you put in, around on the top, on Milk Street.
Yes.
Right. At the time, they requested to put the shed over in that far back corner next to the pink house. All right, now, but the only thing we can do here now, we cannot approve it. It's not, it doesn't have a permit, and it's not a typical to that corner where it is. So I can go along with the suggestion of moving it over in that corner near the side door on the pink house, up in that corner.
I think my neighbors will hate me.
Mrs. Reno, you know, that's where it should be moved to. all
There's
right?
also a pathway,
I'm sorry?
there's a pathway that leads to the cottage. And, and there's all this vegetation.
Right.
And, all of that stuff that we've worked on, if we put it over there, it's a sore eye. The way we had it there, once, the privets are installed and it will have the white trim, it will have one of those, windows that doesn't open, and it's seamless throughout all the buildings. You don't see anything really other than just all the tips all within the same length. I mean, height and everything else. It's just, it looks terrible now because as soon as they said halt, they halted.
Okay, now, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna go along with the recommendation. They make good recommendations. So, move shed to back off of Prospect Street. Where are you gonna put the shed?
I don't have anywhere else to put it. We don't have anywhere else.
You don't have anywhere else to put it. You take it down, I'm sorry to say that, you know, it doesn't have a permit. And we're trying to do our job protecting the HBC area. And it doesn't always work this way, you know?
No.
You know, and, I think either put it over there or put it on some other lot. Sell it or do whatever you have to do with it, you know? It's not approvable
I don't think it is.
as far as our guidelines. And myself,
Is it too close to the cottage? Is it too close to the cottage, or is it the exposure to Prospect?
The latter.
what?
He asked if it's too close to the cottage or is it the Prospect Street
No, it's too
exposure?
close to the kitchen too.
It's too close to, it's Prospect Street, that's.
Yeah, right.
Well,
If you're gonna move it, might as well put it over in that corner, it'll be done and over with.
one, I would like to see a more complete plan of the shed he proposes and also, so we can look at alternatives to where it could go on the site. And I think we need a view, I
Yes.
need to drive by, I need to see this, what it looks
Look
like.
at
Is
it,
it,
no, you're looking at it.
because it's not, I don't know.
All those in favor of a view and to hold for revisions? And,
Well, a view at least.
yeah,
Right,
And just the
complete
three,
application?
could you do a drawing of at least, you know,
Well,
your elevations?
he has it in there.
he has,
It's just that we don't all have applications to look through.
because he couldn't find the other
Where's
application.
the door though?
right here, and it's gonna be a batten door. This little window is gonna be a fixed window facing Prospect.
Okay.
And then the rest is shingles, and it says architectural black
And
roof.
what about this, what is the length
Which, does
and
that
width?
match the house?
Length and the width on the application is 11 feet and 6 feet.
And what's the height?
Height is not. Oh,
Is the
okay,
height
this
on
is-
Yeah,
there?
it's here, it's,
8,
9, 10, 11,
11 feet
11-ish?
high.
Yeah, 11-ish.
If we have a motion to view and he submits next time, then we should know whether we can move it around the side or what's good.
Maybe if he identified alternative locations, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
I think you're gonna need a more distinct plan where you're putting it for the zoning guy.
And how far off it is from the house, because there is a requirement. And so may I have a motion or a vote
John's still looking.
on the motion to hold for review?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then transfer North Sean for next week or the week after.
Be the week after, get it with that.
Well, next week is new business. We could ask for it to go on the top of new business. Would you be able to do this by next Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we would do a view and ask for it to be put on next Tuesday's agenda.
And also
All-
think about
I
alternative
shouldn't have been on this.
All those
sites on your.
in favor, say aye.
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 You don't wanna get it denied. Someplace else is gonna be.
You want to move the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next one
I'll come by.
is 12 Creek Road.
Yeah, so the board on this is Coombs, McLaughlin, Oliver, Welch, and Watterson.
Okay? That's good because that's who's up.
Hey, Joe. Good evening.
McLaughlin.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, this is the one in Fisher's.
Did you
I
say?
thought we did this one.
Oh, we approved it.
Well, you were about to, but then you asked me to show some options for the front door.
Yeah.
You said that the previous submission was better. So there's a page that shows the first HDC submission with page, there you guys are there, the 1/8" scale drawing.
Say the board.
And then there's a series of options to the right. So the first submission, those side lights, I'm sorry.
That's okay, the board is, Coombs, McLaughlin, Oliver, Welch, and Watterson.
Oh, that's, yeah. Okay, Joe, sorry.
That's all right, sorry. Page A1.0A is the front options. So where it says first submission, those side lights were 24 inches. And you guys said that you liked that one more than what we did last time, but maybe the side lights should get narrower and not have the vertical piece in it. So option A on the right, which is my preferred and the client's, those side lights are 18 inches. A1, they're 12, which feels a little skinny. And then I did one B, which is also 18 inches, but has no muttons in the side lights. And C, I did because Val had mentioned potentially flip-flopping the side door and the front door. And I just wanted to illustrate that. I just think it looks a little peculiar with the side lights. So I think option A fits well proportionally. And then the other comment that you had all made was on where the shed dormers on the back of the building were to push them off the roof. So those came down off the roof. And then there was a color comment. So this was originally all white. The windows are now all sand tone, and the clients would like the front door to be Essex green or black.
All right.
The roof's natural, all the trim is natural.
I'm ready. Joe, I appreciate the extra work on the alternates. I believe A is appropriate. I also think appreciate the changes on the dormer. And I know John measured the railing there, so you should be all set.
Oh, I did move the railing back for John. Yes.
Those are my comments, thank you.
All right, thank you. Johnny?
Hang on, you.
I'll go.
Val's
He's not
ready.
ready. I still think the secondary door needs to change to something else.
As
'cause-
an option C, I think, if you look down, would be a
Yeah, because that's typically what people have been using as a front door. And
This
so-
one.
Like
Yeah.
a bungalow door.
Right.
So I think if you did number 2 on option C with A.
Do you need to have
Well-
light get in that hallway or something for that
No.
secondary door?
Well, no, I think Val kind of said it when she said bungalow door. I mean, I think that the bungalow door typically is sort of 1/3, 2/3, which is how C is drawn, and this is a farmhouse really. So the farmhouse style, I wanted to keep the glass panes more in proportion to the windows, which are vertical.
Yeah.
And the square lights on that front door just felt felt odd to me. I mean, I think the side door could be even all wood.
What do you,
Yeah,
what do you think of
that's
a board door with like a little four-light in it, you know?
On the side?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
side.
on the side door, I think that would be fine. I don't, the side door, I don't think is really a focus for the client. I can see where, with them both being glass, they might be competing. I just wanna make sure, the suggestion wasn't to go to option C as a front door.
No,
No.
it was
Oh, okay.
option C, the side
Side
door,
door.
Oh,
on number A.
But
Yeah.
I'd like to
That I
make a
like.
suggestion.
That, not that it's about
Oh.
making me like it, but I think that's a nice suggestion.
I said that at first, but I do think that it's a little confusing with the three-quarter glass on both of them, even though the side door is narrower. I'd rather see like, more repose on the side door with the board door, with or without a little four-light.
Yeah,
I
I
would
think,
like to see that door be wood.
I think it
all
could go, I
together.
think it could go all wood on that side door.
Yes.
And let that
Like a
kind of
V-groove.
fade, yeah, like a V-groove door or something, like a real cottage door.
Right.
Like
Nice.
Steve pointed out last time, there will be a shed that's gonna be in front of this, that's the width of that piece, that's also gonna have a boarded door on it, so you'll see those two together in a way.
Well,
once we
that's
bring-
right, because
right.
they might move the shed at some time or other. I just think in this front that a full wooden door would look the best.
Yeah, I think that'll clearly read as a secondary door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So has everybody spoken? Johnny, have you?
My other comment is a 3'6" door wide on the front. This is called the north elevation.
Okay.
My door is 3.6 on my house.
Right?
I think every door I've had the HDC in the last couple of years is 3'6".
Right. So that's fine.
Maybe I shouldn't tell you that, but-
Making a comment that it's 3'6".
I have a motion.
We didn't hear.
What he's talking about the door.
That's not it.
Yeah.
Quick lane is here.
Yeah, that's it right there.
That's the door, yeah. Could it be another, same size, or another type, and having three of these at the top there?
John, this is gonna be a V-groove door.
Like
Okay.
1x6 V-groove or that.
Or a bat door or something.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a V-groove door.
What do you think for color, Diane? Same as the front door, or black or Essex green?
Essex green, I would like to see them.
This is the main door, could it be something similar to this one, you get the light on the door.
John, we told them earlier that we were okay with that door, but to bring in an option that address the side lights. So we kind of already told them we're good with that door, just so you know.
We didn't want the doors to match because then the front, it'll be confusing as to what's the front door.
I think I could come up with a little motion here.
Oh, good.
I would make a motion to approve through staff, with the front entry to be per, option A, but with the side entry to be a vertical V-groove, solid wood door, both in Essex green as the color.
Side
Second.
door is a wood
Vertical V-groove.
V-groove. Essex green, all doors Essex green, okay?
And the windows are white?
The windows are Sandtone.
Sandtone.
Okay.
It would be
Well,
nice if they
I'm
were
changing.
gray. You couldn't do gray, or is it? Santone's just as good, I guess.
All
And the
those-
roof is natural, I'm just.
The roof is natural, all the trim is natural. I would like to try to convince them to go with a different color than the Sandtone, but the Sandtone and the like Nantucket gray are very similar to each other.
Yeah, near enough.
The Sandtone bleeds out in the UV after about 12 years. It doesn't hold up. I don't know why. You using the A series or the?
The A
400?
series, yeah.
That'll hold up better.
Oh, the dove
Did
gray
you
is
write
in it,
down
yeah.
what the motion is?
Yep. I have got all those in favor of TJ's motion.
Aye.
Aye. You?
Aye. Aye, sorry.
Johnny?
Yes.
All right. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
You said dove gray.
Yeah, that's an A series color.
Yeah,
I think it goes nice once the building weathers and you got gray sash,
yeah. Sandtone is over. I'm not debating it as part of this
Mhm.
thing, but I'll bring it up because I haven't seen it with Essex green. But Essex green almost reads as black.
If
Yeah,
color
very
is
dark.
good or something, let us
But they
know.
don't have, it's not Essex green, those Anderson, is it? They're forest green.
Yeah, something like forest. Yeah.
Is that your ear? No, it's your phone.
Sounds like a dance party, John.
Yeah.
I think it's Area 51.
Okay, thank you very much. So are you all set?
Yeah, I have another series of applications.
Brand new, I just got it.
Oh, so you do.
So the board on this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, and Oliver.
Okay.
Tobias was here for this last
He
time.
was for the solar panels,
Right,
which I believe were,
held for viewing is my understanding.
right.
Oh, no, this
I was just mention to you that I'm sure you know how much time we spent working on this house to get it to fit in and all the rest of it. And when we finished doing it the size thing, the old building, because we wanted that to remain in the center, we sort of had the feeling that they would accept it and not come in with a bunch of changes because it's in such a eye-catching location. And the center part, I don't remember now, it was what, 3 years ago we started with this, how
Maybe.
old it is.
Maybe a year and a half or two. You know, the main house is just here for, there's a minor, single-story roof, line change, but it's here for the solar panels. That came up late in the, design discussions, so, you know, so I've never represented solar panels before, but I understand through, Tobias that these are the ones that he's had approved elsewhere. He had told me to try to locate them on the uppermost flat roof pitches. So the ones facing south are on 4-pitch dormers. There aren't any facing the water, which would be north, but he did tell me that because those dormers are relatively flat, that solar panels actually could work on the north side or the south side. I just assumed that having them not face the water would be more desirable.
I would think that was true.
Although
The water side?
having them not face the water would be
We
more
have,
desirable. But
one of the things that we hit about solar panels that are facing the water is their reflection when the sun sets on the north or northwest, depending on how it is. And the north is not the best location anyway for solar panels,
yeah,
but
the site plan probably is the best. The site plan shows the solar panels that are proposed for all 3 buildings. So there are some that are facing east,
Hey,
and there are some that
Joe?
are facing south. Yeah,
The other thing we weren't sure of is what is the roof color?
yeah. Tobias asked me that.
wood.
It's approved as wood. Yeah.
And we really, really, really don't like to see them on wood.
Okay.
So if you can change that to black.
Well, the main house is already being roofed. Both the garage and the cottage, we haven't started construction on and won't until people leave after Labor Day. Would it be an issue if we had asphalt shingles on guest house and garage and wood shingles on the house?
Yeah, don't put any on the house then.
Okay.
let me read.
Oh, no, it was a serious question because if you look at how this house is oriented, the guest cottage is closer to the neighbor's house than it is to their own house. So Usually you'd want all the shingles to match, but I don't know if you would entertain that or not. I don't know if my client would either, I'm just curious.
Well,
Where's the
the
street?
Nantucket Advisory Board suggested a
Really?
ground array.
The streets
down here.
No, the streets,
It's the.
the streets are odd, the streets both dead end. E Street dead ends there, and D Street dead ends there. So you, in order to look at this from the south, you actually have to be right here on their property.
But,
So
it,
This is the
but in
That's the water,
either
yes.
view on these streets, you'd see two buildings with different shingles.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that that's the way to go necessarily, but that building there on that corner, that has a asphalt roof, and this cottage is closer to that building than it is to the main
Maybe
house.
do them
What
all
is
by
the-
asphalt.
Joe, what is the roof of the big garage behind the house? Not on their property, but it's,
I don't know, I think it might be gray asphalt.
okay, let me just read what Madigan Advisory had to say. I don't know what they're talking about because I don't see it here. The, grill, it said the grill should be shaped.
Oh, this is the cottage. Here's the house.
Okay. Panels should be on the ground. This we mentioned, when, Tobias was here, but I don't know where you put them on the ground with enough space that they would be usable as producing electricity. What do you think?
May I?
Yes, please.
I did go out there and I said this last week with Tobias here as well. I think the least visibility is the south, which technically faces the street, but the street is like a driveway from a certain point to this house. So keeping them on the south is preferable, but I really do think that we'd like to be consistent and have, black shingles. Unless the panels are like, can be tan and look like the wood roof or something.
Yeah, I believe, I mean, he sent me, you've probably all seen them anyway, they're on his pergola in town,
Yeah.
outside the old shanty.
Yeah.
And they're the ones he's approved before, and I don't think that they're black, I mean, they
They're
have some
black.
space between them, but they're black. And there are some panels on this that are facing east, so if you were, I don't know if the correct term is up harbor, but if you were up the harbor, leaving the harbor to go out to the open ocean, you would see a few of these facing east, just.
I know what, now I remember one of the discussions was, he's calling for between 55 and 60 panels.
Between the three buildings?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's under 60, but, yeah, it's more than 20, that's for
A
sure.
lot of blenders.
I
Yeah,
would like
it's a lot of what?
him, if we
blenders.
send this back for revisions or
Okay,
whatever, I would like, if you can, to color the panels in a different color so it catches our eye. It's very hard to find 60 freaking panels on the roof when it's all the same color as the roof.
On this,
Yeah.
I can't even find
Yeah.
the roofs. I can't differentiate between the roofs and the
So-
decks. It's very hard. It's like,
I think for our benefit, it would be very good if he could do this because, I think we not only have to see if we need 60 panels, if they're going to fit in on the buildings, and if not, where they might possibly be considered on the ground, because we've got the cottage to think about too. But
Yeah, there is a
as far
south-
as I'm concerned, if you can pinpoint all the panels, it would make it a great deal easier.
and I think we might make sense to put, we have this in a model that maybe we should
oh,
put
that would be great.
the solar panels in there. I think Val's right that from the south, as you end at D Street and E Street, it is their driveway essentially, and that having them face south is better than facing north. I believe that the E ones were, well, the client would have to make a decision about what they could actually run off of these. So I would expect that we'd probably be able to remove at least 30% of these.
Well, that was one of the things.
I'll ask my client about the color of the roof too. What about the, typically these are put on during, like now, at the beginning of construction. What if the roof grayed out and then the shingles? Have you seen them? Have you done them on a wood roof?
No, it looked like.
No, but you know what's an interesting question? Ask them if you need to re-roof, who takes care of the panels after that? Do they come and take them off and you re-roof and put them back on?
Yeah, I'm not sure how those are
I
fastened.
think the texture between wooden shingles and then shiny panels is
Yeah.
going to be too.
Okay.
Joe, can you, just suggestion, can you outline your outermost edges of your roof?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna remove the decking too. That will make it read a little bit, I mean, I'll leave the outlines of it, but graphically I can see on your plan, it's a lot more difficult to read than this one.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's
like,
much better.
That reads better
Oh.
at a smaller scale for some reason, so,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
But also, I don't think that we have approved solar panels on a wooden roof.
No?
So,
Okay.
if they want panels, then,
I have another comment.
yeah, as soon as I finish, then it would be good if they took that into consideration.
Okay.
I believe that's sort of one of our stipulations for solar panels. Yes, Johnny?
Yes, looking this over and knowing the area, it has 30 panels. And they're roof mounted. And over on A Street in Nantucket, there was a garage. And we approved it with a black roof and the panels. And I think some of it was a mistake when you can put them on the ground. You should put them on the ground because they stand out. And I know this is a big lot, but you got, between the house and the back lot line, you have 44 feet, and the width of this, which is all native planting, is 196 feet. That's 4,224 square feet. If you can possibly try to put them on the ground in the old historic areas. Now, we are working on voting the historic area for Madigan. We haven't done it yet, make it legal. But I think that this could go on the ground if a feasibility study should be done on trying to put them on the ground, where they're 8 feet off the ground is high height and where the 1.5 is a low height. And we put them there. I'm just saying, we gotta look at this towards the future. Now, a lot of this modern stuff, such as those bike racks downtown, they're taking over the island. It's a shame. Nantucket's gone that way. And we, as a commission, have let it go for the last 8 or 10 years. It's a shame. I've watched it go.
Okay, all right, Johnny.
Anyway, I see there ought to be a feasibility on that. Is it possible? So.
There's wetlands, everything that's in green is subject to wetland jurisdiction because of, and all those native plants we're adding back in, that's actually a lawn that we're populating with native
I
plants.
think
So
that the suggestion has been made, and I think you can consider it. You don't have to defend it here.
yeah, I understand what I need to do, I think.
All right, so that is what we have for the house. And
I have one more comment, if that's okay.
Yep.
Sorry. I see that there's some pergolas here. Somewhere? Is there?
No.
It looks like,
Oh, that is, you're looking at rafter framing. There's a porch that's in that section. That's what that is.
okay.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, we've had success as with Bias's array.
On the flat pergola.
Right.
so, if I would like to have a motion to hold for revisions and, further location. Okay, yoo-hoo.
I don't know what the further location is, but I'll make.
That was us.
That's
If
what
he
it was.
can't do
Oh.
it, then he just has to
Okay.
say, can't do it. Okay,
I would assume that's for all three applications, we just talked about all
yeah,
the buildings.
now what are they talking about on this one, which is the
Who
cottage?
made the motion and you need a vote?
Motion to hold for revisions and more information and possible location changes.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Chair, the next two have not been heard. They are the cottage revision and garage revision.
All
And
right,
are they solar panels as well?
It just says cottage revisions. I don't
They
know.
are, they're solar panels and, there's a door change to the garage,
Is it
but
you?
you don't have to, we actually don't have to open it because I'm gonna have to revise the solar panels on them and you may be
Okay.
fine with the door change, but
They already had a board.
we have four, but this hasn't been heard, so we need
No, on
to
the
finish.
last one, were you on the last one? 11 East Street? The one Joe just did?
No, it was just
No.
the four of us.
It wasn't on the last one.
So whoever was on that.
Motion to hold 15 and 16 for the applicant, per the applicant's request, because they want to modify.
Okay, all those in favor of holding 15 and 16? Do you want to go in 2 weeks or a week, Joe?
a week would be fine. Well, I need to submit revisions though, old business revisions by,
Tomorrow.
Well, you
Thursday,
can,
right?
you can do it on Thursday, so you want me to put you on for the sixth of August?
yeah,
For all
yeah,
three of them?
yep, we can
Okay.
make those changes by
Okay.
then.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Thank you.
Nice.
So our next one is 20 Monomoy, garage shed revisions. Will Gorman.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Will, welcome back to the HTC.
How are you?
You're getting there, slowly, but somewhat surely.
Are you tracking
They're all out.
15 and 16?
Those are going to be held.
So the board on this is Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
Say that again.
Cole, McLaughlin, Oliver, and Welch.
So it's you, Chairman, again.
So may I start, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay. I went and looked at this, and although I think that these arches are atypical, and they do pick up the curvature on the home, they're not gonna be visible to any extent, so I have no concerns. Did you go look?
Cole,
Don't give me that look.
McLaughlin,
I said, I have no concerns based on the lack of visibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, do you want to say anything? John? Do you want to say anything?
No, I have enough questions, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd make a motion to approve as submitted, subject to limited, let's say limited visibility, so no one hangs the guy if they see through a couple leaves.
All in favor of Steve's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
John, are you in favor or opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is
Take care.
So
9,
there's only two of us, does that still clear?
It's the
Yeah.
third.
Okay.
the next one is 9 North Ave.
So the
Uh,
board-
Ben is
How you
here.
doing?
So the board on
Welcome.
this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Dutra, Welch, and Watterson.
Oh, I'm not on it.
The whole schmear.
No, they weren't on it.
What
All
about
the
Abby?
alternates.
Is Abby on it?
I'm on it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll be your assistant, Kathy. You need to hand it
You need, so the choice is Stephen or TJ.
TJ,
Am I up?
Steve was just on the
Yeah, I was just on something.
East Street.
So that wasn't the board, that was just,
It's Jesse, it's really would be Jesse's turn.
well, that doesn't, I'm happy not to be on, especially because I'm not gonna be here next week or the week after. So, but I just wanted to make sure it was not,
It's Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Dutra,
I'm on it,
and
okay.
then Welch and Watterson are the alternates.
Oh, you are on it already?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Where are you gonna be for 2 weeks?
Just off island, not too far away.
You're not gonna go to Ireland?
No Ireland.
Ireland or Rhode Ireland?
Yeah, closer to Rhode
Rhode Island's the
Rhode
nicest time of
Island.
year.
Ireland, Rhode Island.
No
You
doubt.
know, Ben has a new company.
Yeah. Do you have pictures, Ben, of the house that this goes in front of?
We got it approved last week. I brought the plans. I have my little mini plans here. But here's the elevation that this gets put
Is
in
the
front of.
roof pitch sort of match? or-
Yep, the roof pitch matches this little one story. So this garage is sitting kind of in this space here.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we proved that.
Yeah, the only issue with this was they didn't like the dormers, and we got rid of the dormers. And instead we raised the ridge about 1.5 feet, and we got rid of the dormers altogether.
I think this is far more appropriate in handsome. That's right.
Nice.
Oh.
Me too, I like it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Alrighty.
Can I speak?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, okay.
You were so quiet over there.
The windows, 6 light awnings, number one, there's 6 of them, 6 to 8 of them on the north and south side, which is visible from North Street, comes down now. So maybe we should make them, fixed.
Yeah, I would amend my motion to make them fixed.
Thank you.
Your staff?
Yeah, just the awning, the one type window, I think it is.
Yep,
It's a
number one.
horrible location for a garage, isn't it?
It's an old, it's,
Awning windows.
when was it
Wouldn't
put
mind
there?
an awning either.
The shed, Diane? I mean, the existing garage?
Yeah,
Yeah, we had that approved as demolished, last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was. And, it was built in 87 or 86 or something.
cause we
Sorry,
went
hon.
through a lot of it when that guy who went to jail, remember, Matthew,
Oh, okay, yep.
was going
The
there.
hotel.
He was including it, cause he was gonna use it as employee housing.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was,
Do you remember that?
The long red one?
Yeah.
Rainey's old, he kept his fire engine in there.
It was a pretty neat building. Is it still there? The long red one? Is it still there?
And we all took a vote on that?
The barn's, yeah, that's the neighbor.
All right, guys, it's 6:30.
Come
What?
on, let's go, go, go.
Okay, so,
42 Dukes
yeah,
Road.
thank you.
42 Dukes Road.
So
Go.
the board on this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, and Welsh.
I was here a couple weeks ago.
Revision 1, 2, 3, 4.
Voila.
Is this, pretzel size?
There you go.
Thank you.
Maybe this is
Welcome.
Thank
you.
Oh, no, it's good. I used to.
Bill McGuire
Match
for the
that
apples.
with Bernie and Carol Hoffman.
Driving down.
Did you say John was on this?
No, no.
Yes.
Listen, I can't
So-
believe
We're
they
talking
granted
about
they got away with it.
Bill, what,
Well, Steve had asked for some minor revisions on the
Hey, I don't have one.
overhangs. So,
Yeah. Are
that's
you on
what
it?
we
Ma-
did.
wait, let's listen
I don't even think
to
I'm on it, so.
Well, good.
what Bill has to
Sorry,
say.
Bill.
That's good. Steve had asked for, that all of the overhangs match.
5 soffits.
And the soffit, so that's what we did. That was the only question you guys had.
Looks good, thank you very much.
Are they overhanging?
Yeah, so
Yeah, some were straight and some were extended.
if you look at the one above on the left, see the left porch, on your left,
This
or
one hangs.
your other left, yeah. And then go down to the exact same spot on the drawing below. See the difference?
Much better. That was a good idea, Steve.
Thank you.
Motion to approve. Why didn't we do that
Yeah,
yourself?
John. I'm with you.
I apologize. Wasn't
Okay.
intentional.
As submitted, right?
Yes.
Not through staff.
Everybody in favor of approving
That's
as
John.
submitted?
No, I was just asking him why we didn't ask for those changes.
Are there any ayes?
Yes, I said aye.
Ayes.
Aye.
All right, guys,
Thank
let's
you.
get out of here by 7.
Yeah, it's Bruce's birthday.
Is it Bruce's? So what is he, 71?
70,
100.
73.
Is that right, Bill?
73? Wow, he looks good for his age.
Hey,
Oh.
anybody who works hard, he does.
Well, he does look good.
So the board on this is Oliver, McLaughlin, and Welch. Oliver's acting chair.
Me, you, and Val.
Oliver, yeah.
Hey, Matt. How are you? You getting there? How you doing? Good. Ready for some crude, rude, and ready to feud?
Sure,
Oh, that's not
yeah,
tonight.
if that's what's coming my way.
No, I think you're good.
I'll take it. Good. So, should Trace do a quick update?
Yes.
So, thank you. So we removed the cupola, and then the other question, request you had was to drop the height of the structure, and which I didn't totally grasp at the last meeting or forgot, was that there's a studio that's at that higher level, and that is at like 7.6, the height of it. So if you look around the yeah, so because it's actually at a portion of the structure, existing structure, is at the elevation closer to the house. So we brought it, at the previous meeting we actually did drop it. I think we dropped to like 6 inches or so. So just wanted, because that was a comment to see if we could drop it, more than that, because it looked like there's like 10 feet of height in the garage itself, but it's the height of the studio that's like dictating it.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I should have picked up on that last meeting. I didn't know exactly what. I knew there was a reason. I didn't know what it was.
Your comment?
Yes, awning windows, fixed?
It should all be fixed.
Yes.
It's fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed. It says fixed.
That's opposed to installing broken awnings.
Just take the crank off of it.
Yeah, it's fixed.
That's good.
Hey, that's where I put it in.
Sounds like it needs to be fixed.
Dale, did you wanna? I'm gonna go then. And, Matt, I appreciate the changes. You're kind of wearing me down on the height. I did see the 3-dimensional. I think that given the, massive privet along the front, which, by the way, I'm gonna get a little pedestal and I'm gonna put it here so I can talk about privet as an architectural element. Especially when I heard someone mention 11 feet privet on Prospect Street.
That ain't happening.
Next to the intersection. But that privet here, you've got privet here that's really tall. I think you are gonna see this, there's no question, but it is gonna be limited visibility. It's not right on the street. And I would suggest, I'll make a motion that includes some type of screening in perpetuity after you're ready, Madam Chair.
I've got nothing.
So I would make a motion to approve as submitted, subject to privet screening along Westchester Street, except for at the driveway at the time of inspection and thereafter.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All in favor
plugging away.
of Steve's motion? Who's on it? Me,
Me,
you,
you, and
John?
John.
Okay,
You good with
next
that?
one is you, isn't it?
Yep.
CJU?
That'll be me.
I got 3.
Steve, can you write
There's
that
more
on here?
people.
Yes.
Oh, Diane's got it?
Diane's got it. I'll check up on her sometime she slips. I'm teasing you. Well,
I
no,
know.
I will check up. It's good to have teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
So, the board on this is Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, and Welch.
Welcome to the HDC.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, what?
Nope.
What do you want?
So this is like, this is the saga. It's third or fourth time here, but what I gathered from the last time is we were mostly okay with the lattice archway and the copper roof. We were okay with adding shutters and okay with the navy blue front door, but we needed to do something about getting an historic color for the shutters. And what we have on the plans proposed is a Newport blue, which is a historic color, of course. But as it turns out, they called me yesterday and said, we want Hamilton blue, which we all know is Folger blue and also a historic color. And we think that the navy and the Folger are going to be a nice complement to one another and work out fine on the streetscape, whereby we're keeping the light gray, not lattice, the clapboard, which is typical of Liberty Street as far as clapboard color goes. So is Main Street yellow.
And so, what is the front door?
Navy blue.
Okay, and what color are they calling the shutters?
Well, we have it called out as Newport blue, but we'd like to change it and amend it to be Folger blue instead.
So, as compared to the shutter color you got here, Folger blue is lighter or darker?
Well, it's more of a, has a little bit more green in it, I feel like, the Newport.
Yeah.
Folger blue is more of a true blue, medium tone, kind of powdery, which would go nice with the navy blue door, I think.
Okay, I just.
And is that all that's on this application?
Yeah, just I think the final piece was getting an appropriate shutter color.
Oh my God.
So I'm just crossing it out and putting Folger, did you say?
Oh, that would be great, yeah.
Folger or Hamilton?
We'll call it Folger. I think it's the same thing, though.
So, then you don't have to make new copies.
Okay,
No,
that'd be
just
great.
make the navy blue so dark it's almost.
That's what we're going for anyway.
Because if the two blues are clashing, it's gonna look horrible.
That's right. Okay. So, Johnny?
Yes, is this clapboard?
That's yeah, light gray clapboard. That it's currently shingled.
This really stands out, you know?
Well, we're going for the same color as the one across the street, the Macy Christian house. I think that's like a 1741 house, and it looks quite stately with the light gray.
A notion to make a motion to approve.
Approve as submitted, right?
As submitted.
With
some powerful potion.
Folger blue being the shutter color.
I said it with a motion.
And Folger's a good historic color.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Is Mark here?
Good, how are you?
Well, thanks. How you doing, Mark? Good, how you doing? We know you just answered that question, but you know, it's just major.
Sorry.
I didn't really.
I don't mind being asked.
I know she didn't mean it, so I asked. Welcome to the HCC.
So the board on this is Combs, McLaughlin, Oliver, Welch, and Watterson.
She's auditing. She's on master's.
Oh, didn't know we were on the discussion.
Ooh.
Front and back. Oh, there goes 7 o'clock. See, now you're gonna want a timer.
What? Who's that?
Yeah,
I was ready to get
Here
that.
for.
I have to go
Lawyers
to
don't
Bruce's
do money.
birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Yes.
Mark Catone, representing the applicant. The changes are clouded in red on the, and if you go to 821 west elevation, which has been primarily the point of discussion.
What did we ask for, so we know why?
Remass.
You had concerns, it was technically, quote, minor massing changes.
Okay.
So we altered the right side mass significantly. There's a summary sheet, which is the last page of your packet, which you can see the before and afters.
Yes.
And omitted the connector altogether on the right-hand mass, changed from a gable, the twin gables, to a dormer forward. Also altered the lower mass, bringing that in to create a dormered bay on the first floor. We actually widened the connector on the left side, which we think was, I know Steve commented he thought they were more successful when they were a little wider, not stubby.
And we actually lowered the left mast slightly on, and I'm looking at the west elevation with these comments, to align the meeting rails with the eave line.
Yeah.
And we also made the porch deeper by a couple of feet. Front porch, the sconce advisory has concerns about depth. As you wrap around to the south, you can see that main elevation has changed significantly to a gable that aligns with some symmetry with the main mass versus the roof form that was running previously. There is a change on the interior mass, if you will, the secondary mass, from windows to doors on the south elevation. But I don't think those will be visible. And then on the rear, again clouded, primarily the connector and the rear elevation of what is now a left mass on the east elevation. We actually didn't cloud on the north elevation, but we did do is we dropped the roof lines to align with the windows and the meeting rails with some adjustments made there.
All right.
You know, I'll go ahead. I think this is really successful, the changes you made. Even though we got this connector piece on the left, I think that there was something about having either side that struck an odd chord, massing wise. I think it really helped what you've done, and also the fenestration is fine. I think everything looks appropriate. But what were the colors again?
Yeah, I want to mention colors.
Yeah.
The request of the client is actually a Quaker gray trim and sash with just a black door. Not too dissimilar, I think, to Telegraph in Wisconsin on the way into the village on the right-hand side. I think Steve did as a great color combination, beautiful, so she's sort of taking inspiration from that as well.
Well, it helps that there's cottage corners.
John?
What color, what's the elevation? This is the final thing, right?
No, this one.
That one is. This was previously submitted, yes, correct.
Oh, you got the batten door there too?
We do, just a simple batten door, correct.
Thank you.
Mark, I appreciate the changes. I think it makes a dramatic effect. The only time we've seen this, it occurred to me after you left, this treatment successful is when the primary mast is also gable forward. So just for future reference, it just changes the geometry in a way that's meaningful. But this is really appropriate. I think it tells a better story with the additive a sense of additive massing. I have no concerns with the design or the colors.
All right. Abby?
I'm not on it. He's on it. It's me and
John?
you now.
John already spoke.
All right, you?
Bravo.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say.
So, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, alrighty.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
John, are you an aye?
I have one question. Where is the inset? Where's the front?
Here, this is the front. So there's
Sash
an inset
color?
here. And
Yeah,
then a
this
Quaker
is
gray as
right,
well.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Nice job, Mark. One more.
All right, this is that building,
Oh, that, no.
that building. That huge building.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Glad it's still afternoon. We're on
It's
the
still
last
light.
lap, yeah.
Isn't this
So
good?
the board on this is Cole, Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, and Watterson is the alternate.
No, somebody can leave early.
I think
I
I
would,
know who it is.
There you go.
Who is it?
It's Mr. Walsh.
Walsh, get out of here.
I'm gonna hang.
Go.
Hi.
No, he
We've
can't.
got
There's no-
stuff at the end.
That's nothing that's gonna drag on and on.
I hope not, unless you
Unless you
keep going with it.
Unless you look in the mirror.
Is that your peacock?
I saw one pole.
Yep, there's two, but one I think got moved out of the way because it's Tom Hanlon's like land tape yard, so one of the poles was right at the entrance.
That's like,
I do have some photos. I trust everybody went and looked, but these are photos from 18 all the way down to 8, so you can just kind of see some context.
beauty.
It's like a whole
I,
big city.
Correct.
thought maybe just something as simple as a break in the roof, and I
Just
don't
thinking
know
that.
what street this is on out there. Just because this is an extraordinarily
Yeah,
long building.
But that was,
How come you didn't think of that?
how come, remember,
I'm just here
I
giving you
said-
info. I can go back to Rescom.
You know, this is out there already,
Right,
but it
but
just
he should
makes
be-
enough of a difference that.
cause he hasn't, he didn't.
I think that's on like Nancy Ann, that one
You know,
with the break.
it's like up high on the road.
Yeah.
Where we were trying to discuss.
With that curve.
putting
Cause you
yeah.
didn't break that building, and the building's 190 feet long, right?
Correct. As proposed right now, it's 190 feet long, single kind of shed mass. The property owner did want me to point out that previously on 10 and 12 Bregland, back in 2016, you guys had approved that storage building that eventually moved over to Tomahawk. That was fairly massive. It was about 17,000 square feet of ground cover. So this is obviously smaller than that. And this is, you know, just a long building that runs, you know, the length of the property front to back. So the frontage is,
The custom page size. I like
Still
that.
needs to.
the
be
board
pulled
requested
out.
1/4 inch. So these are the 1/4 inch drawings.
Whether it was done somewhere and moved and whatever, all that stuff doesn't matter.
Sure.
This is a board of 2018, 19.
Yeah, I don't think
They
you guys are on it.
We think a little differently, we can remember to think it all. And my statement is still, roof line has to be broken. It's
Yeah.
very visible.
Yeah, in half, maybe 100.
So the technique that was used on the building that Val showed, would that be
Yes.
something that the board would be
We would
interested in
do
considering?
that.
I also have a slight problem with the pitch. You've got a 1 and 12.
Yeah, it's a one pitch is.
Keeps it
That's-
lower anyway.
Yeah.
That's true,
Yeah.
but, boy, it sure is.
A one pitch?
It's almost flat.
Right, it's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, it's gonna look flat-ish from the road. You're really not gonna see the roof.
How tall is it?
It's, I think, 26 feet.
Push one over.
It's what?
26 feet?
Yeah. So, you have something.
Well, I have an issue with the pitch and the length, and I'd like it broken up. Other than that, it's.
TJ,
I, to be honest, don't have any problem with the submission, but seem to be clearly outnumbered. But I think that it is typical of the industrial setting, and that from the perspective that this will actually be visible from, the length isn't going to read, and that stepping the building is going to be a unnecessary hurdle for the applicant to jump, because it'll still read just as long.
okay, like a truth sign. John, do you have something to say?
Yeah, thank you. Question. A perplexed on this roof canopy.
You
This is
saw
it's 8 feet to this unit.
This white.
It says, it's down like, it's polar white. You just
Correct, this is the, polar white's a little misleading. It's not, this is the color chip actually, of what they're proposing for the roof.
Right, what, I'm just curious, what preference does it be, is set back from this, right?
No, it would project over the
Okay.
entry. Yep, that's it right there.
Another, right?
There's a little one on the side here,
Yeah.
and then there's one on the front elevation, which you're
Yeah,
seeing.
this-
Yep.
Okay. That was my question on this.
Yeah. Can we see that? Cause we don't have it, Chip.
Sure. Actually, you can keep this in the file.
Is there any other roofs out there that color?
This one, I think.
It does?
Yeah, they're all pretty light. I mean, nowadays, nobody's doing a dark roof anyways. It just doesn't make sense from an energy standpoint.
It's
true. It's so.
Well, it's really, it's a energy issue.
That's the way the code's going.
Does it have,
Does
does it have like windows in the ceiling, you know, like skylights all over the place? I mean, it should.
Yeah,
If you're
so
gonna make
it's
a
lovely
point.
garden up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna-
Great
greenery.
idea.
I don't know, I can't see it.
Get back to it.
You know,
Alright.
it's so high up that you're
Wait,
never gonna see the roof.
This is set back from.
This is the side of it right there. This is the side of that little roof. So it projects about, it's about 30 inches
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna see it.
forward. So you've got this water table trim almost, or this.
This is water.
You saw the roof.
That one is
Oh.
this one right here.
That's, yes.
I'm in shock.
Lights all across.
I'm in awe.
underneath of it, There's all lights under it.
I love it. I'll go there.
Down, it says it's got recessed downlights, yeah. Looks like there's probably, with that, there's probably about 3.
Yeah, but this is not beyond the end of the building, is it? This one?
That one is, you can see it right here, John.
Yeah, this is coming to a price, this thing, you know? Wait for the, what is this on here?
That's standing seam metal.
That's the roof.
Correct, yep, that's the roof.
Oh, in other words, there's lights up under here.
Correct, there's lights that are in here facing down.
Okay, this is for the garage door.
That's actually just for this man door right here, so it's a little smaller. The doors don't have any projection over them.
Thank you.
Okay, has everybody spoken? Can I get, does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll try one, if you break it, 190, and there's a, difference of a foot or two, 18 inches? How much would the difference be to split it? To make one? 2 foot?
2 or 3 feet.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, or just change
Could
the
you go
roof.
85 and 85 to make it half?
Well, this is,
Yeah.
this is only
I
about
don't really
I mean,
care
would you
how
just want it split in the middle? Or, I mean, the other alternative would be to just change it at the sort of office part, because there's that part that's shingled kind of in the front that is the office.
how
Yeah.
long
I mean, that's only, then you're probably gonna wind up with like a 70 or 170 foot, you know, ridge. But
Yeah,
again, to
that's only
TJ's point,
24.
I don't know that dropping it a foot in the overall, I mean, it's a big industrial metal building in a group of big industrial metal buildings.
Okay, I get your point.
All right, well, can you,
That's
is
on
what
the end.
faces the road
Down
the
the street.
north?
Yep.
Can they do something to make that at least look nice? Put some roses or something on it?
The
Well,
farmer's porch on it.
that piece is shingled.
I think it might be a truck thing.
Would you, please, listen,
Val's looking for a little
Val
softening of
is
the
asking a question.
Sure.
landscaping, some lattice,
Aside
something.
from that, which I think we can probably live with because we are looking at it face on, can you do something to the front to give it a little bit more curb appeal?
So as a
A
pro,
cattywampus sign on the side is not gonna be good.
well, I've alerted the architect that this whole sign application, that's gonna be a totally separate application, but he didn't wanna put that on there. They are proposing to have that part shingled, but if you're looking for kind of a drop down in the mass in that area.
No, I'm asking for windows or
Sure, I mean, if you
Or-
add fenestration.
or some
Separate those
roses.
low windows.
Lattice.
I think that's something they could certainly work with.
Alright, so why don't we have a motion for revisions and see if we can get the front looking halfway decent? I would like to suggest that perhaps all those lower windows be separated, which make it look more like,
Well,
Okay,
this
then-
is, commercial.
I know, but it's, one side of the street is commercial, the other side of the street is residential.
Well, it's all the same zone actually. Right now, it's all just junkyards, but that whole corridor from between Nancy Ann and Gregland that this faces, it's all the same type of building.
In the center
Correct, the centerpiece.
part,
Yep.
but both, particularly on the in-town side, it's residential.
Just that one side of Gregland.
Yeah,
It's kind
and
of
then-
weird how they did the zoning, to
And
be
then
honest.
up further on the other
Not
end,
surprising.
it's also going to become, if it works out, residential, because it's going to be for, housing Nantucket.
Correct, and just so we're all clear, you know, they've taken all the commercial stuff that used to kind of be on Old South Road and on the north side of Nancy Ann and Gregland and moved it all back to this sort of end of date. So that's why all this stuff like FedEx Round, they're not out where they used to be. They're all getting moved back.
So is there a motion I heard?
A motion to hold for revisions of the,
We'll work on kind of
Yeah.
curb appeal and kind of softening the front.
Some sort of way of breaking that
Wait,
building
John
down.
is still measuring.
Yeah, 16 foot, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I took it
all in
down.
favor?
I
All those in
didn't hear
favor?
what the motion was.
What are revisions?
Revising
All for revisions.
the 20
For
foot.
better curb appeal on the street
to
side.
make
Some
the front
fenestration on the
look
front.
more attractive
This is all
and
commercial.
to see if possible to make a break in the building
Good job.
roof line.
We're working on it.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alright, we did not address the fact that the white roof, I don't know what you want to do with that, we can talk about that when he comes back.
I don't think we'll see it.
So that is the end of that, that is the end of the agenda.
That's okay.
Very nice.
We have to approve, no, we
No
don't have
minutes.
to approve
No,
minutes
Yeah,
because we
do
don't.
you have somebody
No.
here for the appeal?
Huh?
What appeal?
41 Chuck Hollow and 1 Sunset Ridge, is that you? That's what Steve's here for. Attorney Cohen,
Oh, that's Steve.
that's Steve.
Ah,
The one that's hiding behind you.
I promise it won't be long.
Are we skipping all the rest of this stuff, or?
You were trying to get.
We'll have a talk on it on Thursday, and those are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Steve, come and tell us what you want.
Well, there's only gonna be 3 of us on Thursday.
We'll talk about them again.
Who, you, me, and who, John?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know why we even bother talking about group stuff if not everybody, there's no buy-in.
Yeah, right.
If I could get here, I'll get here.
No, it's not you, it's that, it's just simply that it doesn't make a lot of sense to be talking about organizational
With three-
matters
with
without the
three-
organization present, that's all.
Don't we
Makes
have a
sense to me.
Tuesday meeting that we could do? Steve, what is the problem?
Okay, so I'll try to keep it simple even though it's a little complicated. Our client, this is Jay, he works my office, he's a new lawyer here.
Welcome, Jay.
Thank you.
To the HTC. Hello, Steve.
Hello, everybody. So, 41 Chuck Hollow is my client. The neighbor at Parson is appealing a pool permit and a house permit and a landscape permit that you have issued for that lot. Essentially, it's in his view line of the water, and that's why he's appealing everything. So, and that HDC appeal is going to be at the select board at the end of August. Separately, the building commissioner has issued permits under those COAs that you issued because he is taking the position that your statute does not prevent him from issuing those permits. And if the HDC has approved the COA, he considers that a valid COA, even if it's under appeal. And I talked to him about it, and he told me if you look at the statutes, like the Concom statute says in it, you can't move under an appeal. And the zoning statute says you can move at your own risk under appeal. And so he looked at your statute, and because it doesn't address the issue, he takes the position that it's discretionary, and since you approved it, he's siding with you and issued those permits. So on August 8th, the neighbor is appealing the building commissioner's decision to the zoning board to try to have the zoning board overturn the building commissioner's issuance of the permit. And I think it's the building permits. And I think it's a little strange that the building commissioner and the zoning board would be making a decision about whether or not your COAs are valid without you weighing in on it. And so what I'm asking the board to do is take the position either in general for all permits or specifically for these permits that when you approve a COA that you consider that to be sufficient for the issuance of a building permit. If you deny it, obviously somebody can't move forward and get a building permit, so you don't really have any risk on that. And if someone wants to try to prevent work under the building permit that's been issued, really they have the ability to go to court and ask for an injunction. So there is a secondary means of preventing it. And that's the building commissioner's position, I think, too. So what I'm asking you to do is to either send a letter to the zoning board that says it's your general policy, or in this specific case, whichever you prefer, that you agree with the building commissioner's decision to issue a building permit based on your approval of the COA. Does that make sense?
No. I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So Stephen, in zoning,
yeah,
if a right is not included in the zoning, it's excluded. But this is not, our act is not a zoning, is not in the zoning portion of the bylaw. It's just, it's a legislative act.
Yeah.
And it's referenced in the code.
Yeah.
So what's the applicability there? Is it similar or not?
Well, yeah, so I think I understand what you mean. The HDC Act is its own freestanding act, and then the building code says not the building code, the town bylaw, the zoning bylaw says that the building commissioner shall not issue a building permit, or shall issue a building permit only if it is accompanied by a approved COA from the HDC. And the building commissioner is taking the position that the approved COA from the HDC is valid for issuing a permit, even if it's separately under appeal. And if someone wants to try and prevent construction under that appeal, that they should go to court and get an injunction.
Have we not had something like this
You
before?
did, Diane. You have a good memory. I actually came and asked you the opposite question for the pool at 9 Lincoln Circle. I asked you to take the position in that case about a couple months ago, where I said, "This is crazy. You should tell the building commissioner you don't want things moving forward under appeal." And I think it was you who said, "Well, if we approved it, why would we not want him issuing permits under it?"
Mr. Cohen, are the merits of the appeal based on the HDC's purview on the project, or what are the merits of the appeal?
Sure. So the appeal at the HDC, the appeal at the select board is whether or not your decision was arbitrary and capricious or not. And the appeal at the zoning board is similar, but it's an appeal of the building commissioner's decision to issue the building permit. So the appeal is, should the building commissioner have issued that permit or not?
What?
But I don't think that we're in a position to make any sort of statement on that.
Well,
because it's not in our, to change our act, we would have to do other things.
It's
right.
a legal procedure.
So I see what you're saying, and I would only ask you to look at half of it. I don't think that you should at all be in looking at whether or not the building commissioner acted properly in issuing the permit, because there's a lot of that has nothing to do with you. You should only be, I think, looking at narrowly at the idea of whether or not you consider your COA to be valid when you issue it.
We should.
I absolutely think our COA is valid when we issue it.
Right.
And if somebody appeals it, that's on them.
That's
right. So that's what that's the same position the building commissioner takes. His position is, this HDC has approved it. I am going to issue a building permit on it. If someone wants to appeal that, they're welcome to. If they want to prevent construction under it, they need to get an injunction. And if the owner proceeds on it, they're proceeding at their own risk.
Right. That's how I've always understood it.
Yeah.
Can you act on that, or do you need that written down?
Well, so what I'd like you to do is either send a letter or have a vote, and your administrator can send a note or something that just says that you take the position that your COA is valid when it's approved.
Well, isn't that a given though?
Yeah.
No, well, that's the entire argument in the appeal.
When is the hearing?
The 8th.
Let's have
August 8th.
And when is Ray back?
I don't think we should vote on this right this minute.
No, I'm
So we
not
have
suggesting,
more.
I was just curious.
Well, what?
Information.
I mean, it seems to me that.
I don't feel comfortable writing a letter.
Okay.
That could conflict us as a board writing that letter, where I think it's
Let
really
us
a
see if
given
they
matter
can get the
to go forward and write
COA
something that.
from 41 Chuck Hollow, so we know what we wrote. I don't remember what was written and why it should come under conflict. So can we do that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Dan. Can you do
We'll
it?
get the copies of 41 Chuck Hollow, the COA on that.
Okay.
So we know what we wrote and why we wrote it.
Would you
Okay.
approval?
One by Mark Coutone?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, I don't know when Ray's coming back, but we'll talk about it, and then we will either get him or let you know that we are or not in a position to write it without him being here.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
It is, Diane. The hearing is on August 8th, which is a Thursday, so if you want to put this over to next Tuesday,
yes.
And we could provide you with that information, or the staff could, either way.
Isn't the hearing the 21st?
No, the select board's appeal, the appeal of the COA to the select board is the 21st. The appeal of the building commissioner's permits to the zoning board is the 8th.
Okay.
It's a lot to keep track of, Kathy.
I know, wow.
And do we know when Ray will be back?
I don't know, I mean, he might be here on Thursday, but I don't think he's coming to the meeting.
No, well, he'll be for our regular meeting Tuesday.
I believe so.
Yeah, so we'll
Thank
fill
you.
him in that. And there's,
Diane?
yes,
I have a comment, about this, when an appeal of our decision, it goes to the selectmen. That's what I understand. We were told that years ago by
yeah,
another.
it goes to the selectmen.
Yeah, and goes to selectmen. Once it goes to selectmen, it's out of the HDC's hands. Because if they appeal the decision of the selectmen to a superior court, which where it goes next step, we are completely, the commission completely out of it. We shouldn't even get involved. Once we make our decision, and it's an appeal, that's it. We have to stay out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
One Sunset Ridge, the same sort of thing?
That one actually isn't mine.
Oh,
I don't know whose that one is. I think that's just another HDC appeal that you have on
Right.
your agenda for the 21st.
Okay, so basically we will hold,
Well, the appeals for this were just to discuss who was on the board and the date for the select board. So Ray was the chairman for Sunset Ridge, and then there was 3 applications for 41 Chuck Hollow, and I have the boards here.
okay.
So that was a discussion of the actual.
Right,
appeal
maybe
for
if
21.
you have time, you
I'm confused,
email us
really confused.
as
That's
to
what we're
whether
gonna talk
we
about.
were on the board.
We are gonna talk about it?
Well, that's what we're
tonight.
gonna talk about.
Well, why don't we just have her tell us who was on the board for 41 Chocalo?
Yeah,
We're sitting here right now.
So the new dwelling, the approval through staff was, Abby Camp was the chair, John, Val, Steve, and TJ, but Val and Steven opposed it. So it was 3-2. The pool was approval through staff, Val was the chair, John, Abby, Steve, and TJ were on it. And the color change was, approved, and it was Ray, John, Val, Steven, and Jesse.
And what was the vote on the pool, please?
The vote was unanimous.
Okay, thank you, that's
Yeah,
helpful.
so that was, so someone will have to represent the applications at this point.
And will you tell us who was on the One Sunset Ridge, please?
I don't have that, on me right now, but that's,
Okay.
Oh, I asked her to
I know I was on it.
Yeah.
email.
Ray was on that one, right?
yeah, Ray was on that one, I was just bringing the.
I'm on some of this email traffic with the town about Chuck Hollow, and Ray has been, Erica Mooney keeps emailing Ray, and she keeps emailing him back and saying, I wasn't the chair on that one, you have to talk to somebody else. I don't know, so I think that's one of the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that was one.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Steve, is that?
Yeah, that's good. So, Kathy, can you put this on for next week, or do you need something from me in order to make that happen?
Well, I have to just go over that with Ray, but yeah.
That's fine. Okay, we'll plan on that, and I'll submit the materials that Diane asked for.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So we don't have any minutes, so we can go.
What is, happening Thursday? What is that? Are we having a meeting Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Richmond.
Again.
Yeah, there's 5 or 6.
We're not gonna talk about plastic sheds tonight?
Plastic
No.
sheds?
I've just identified where they all are that I've seen.
She's our shed collector.
I'm very, very angry about
Well,
it.
that's why I asked if we're not gonna talk about it.
No, Ray was going to, his last thing he said on Tuesday, what he was gonna write them and talk to them and get it straightened out. That's what he said, we talked about it, we showed him the picture, and Marine Lumber is still doing it. So he was going to go the way of talking to the guy
And
who
they're all
was in charge.
exactly the same color.
Oh,
I don't get it. Whatever.
They've already had one warning when we said, take it out of the front yard, you shouldn't be selling that. And they took it away for a little while, and now it's back in front again. And I've seen 4.
Well, okay, but, so it's, right now, we're just waiting for Ray to get.
I don't think we should wait for him. I think we should have the staff draw something up and.
Well, I would suggest that we determine whether a plastic shed meets the definition of a structure, number one. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
I could
No,
tell you
we
the answer to
determine
that.
whether it meets the definition of a structure under our
It totally
act.
does.
And if it does, and someone has one in their yard and it is not approved, that they would get a letter stating so and to please apply for the shed, and that's it. And then Marine Home Center isn't, you know, whether they conform or not, if people start buying those sheds and go back to Marine Home Center and say, what the heck? I have to go to the HTC for this, well, that's
just that, you know,
that's
this is on their part.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to prevent any more from being sold.
But it's
because-
clearly not working that way. And I'm
But
not
it
suggesting,
should.
excuse me, I'm not suggesting that you're doing it wrong. I'm just suggesting if the dog gets in the trash in the kitchen and you can put it behind the basement door, then you do it. Because otherwise, all you're doing is coming home and yelling at the dog. And that's all we're doing is we're keep telling Marine to stop getting in the trash, and they're not. So let's move it. Let's go to the applicant and address it directly.
I believe that somewhere, I can't tell you exactly what page, it says that plastic buildings will not be used.
Well, it gets simpler than that. And I know this very well because I changed the act and went to the state, and then someone on the HTC board said, can you drop it? And I did at town meeting, and it went back to the original act. So the act basically reads on a structure. It's really open to complete interpretation of the HTC. It's really simple wording. It just says a structure can be this, or anything else. And that's basically it. Yeah. So it's really to the interpretation of the HTC what we consider it a structure. I don't think that's necessarily fair when someone calls an umbrella a structure or something like that, but I think that we definitely can keep that as an interpretation as a structure.
What would zoning consider a plastic shed?
My guess is that they haven't been applied for in any way.
A zoning, a structure under zoning.
Sheds and regular sheds, and there's a size for zoning shed, that if they're under a size.
But
200 square feet,
well,
if it's under
Well,
200 square
zoning,
feet,
so
you
it's-
don't have to apply.
You still have to get a zoning permit.
Right. And
Yeah.
a structure,
You do.
It's a zoning shed,
Yeah.
But they
You don't need a
have to
building
come through
permit, but a
HDC,
zoning
yeah.
permit.
so it doesn't really matter whether it's a zoning shed or not. With the zoning bylaw, you still have to respect the setbacks, and it still meets the definition of a structure, which is it has a fixed location on the ground. So the point that I'd like to make is that we would ask through staff to issue a warning letter, not a fine letter, but I mean, these people might not know. No one's, you know, we don't have to.
That's what my.
Can I please
Yes.
finish? Because I'm trying to support you in this,
Okay.
and let's get the ball rolling. Because otherwise, we're going to talk about these plastic sheds for another
No.
6 years. Like we talk about everything, and it drives me damn nuts.
Well,
So
John,
let's act. Excuse me, Madam Chair. Let's act on it with a warning, please, to these folks, and say we see these sheds in your yard. They're a violation of the act. We ask you to please come in and apply for them. Please contact the office. It's that simple.
But it's not, because they're gonna keep selling them.
Val, but you're talking about a different issue.
We can't control that.
Right, we can't control what a vendor sells on Nantucket.
then why do we get the shingles from that?
We can't control what a vendor sells on Nantucket, just
Not
like
part of
we
our
can't control
superpower.
what product a manufacturer, a vendor does or doesn't use. We can talk to them as you suggested and try and dissuade them. It clearly hasn't worked. Our only legal recourse is to address a violation, and we have a violation, and I'm just suggesting as opposed to going in heavy-handed and gun blazing, as passionate as I am about this topic, that we just issue warning letters to the people we know are in violation and get a dialogue going so that they can go back to Marine Home Center and put pressure on them, because nothing puts pressure on a vendor more than their customers.
Right, and we've got to inform
You
these
almost
people
word the
that
letter in a way like
the structure must be applied for.
wherever you purchase this, they
And
should
then
not have
what?
sold it to you.
Cause you can see them.
Issue fines.
Well, then they get denied until they move them to some place you can't see them. But otherwise, what's gonna happen with Marine? They're gonna move it to the back, and then someone's gonna move it to the front again, and then in another 3 months, we're gonna have this discussion again.
Well, and that's a very good point. I didn't think about that because they have. If you can't see it, then you can totally have it. So, I mean, their argument is we're selling it. I don't, where they put it is up to them.
Right.
And so, I mean,
It's irresponsible.
Val, I don't disagree with you at all.
We should look into this
I'm just trying to
board,
fix
see
it.
the way to go around, because I want Johnny to go through some of your old papers. I'm talking to you. Somewhere in some of the old things of the HDC, it says about plastic buildings. See if you can find it, because you got it somewhere. I know we did this, I know we sat down and discussed it.
Diane, I have something to say. I'd like to put on for next week, on this, other business list, for next week, I'd like we should start to discuss the new HTC administrator. I'd like to bring it up for discussion next week amongst all of us.
Why? We don't have anybody yet.
We should discuss it.
Well, he's got something to say.
Who appoints, who doesn't, who has the powers for this or for that. We should discuss this, because we're gonna be asked our opinion.
Or maybe not.
By the
Never
board of
have yet.
selectmen, you know?
They fired
What is it?
Mark.
Well, I just wanna get it on it, we can discuss it, thank you.
So thank you, John. Is there support to have a warning letters issued or not? I'd like to know.
Yes, you
I'm
can
in
find all
support
the
of that.
people that have got them,
Thank you. Or the ones we know.
yeah. And say, I would say you have to come, I would like to say you have to come discuss it at the HDC, not
That's what it
ask for
should
a
say.
permit.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like we're gonna give them a permit, they just have to come to get it.
It has to be
Well,
applied for.
they need to apply through the process, which may result in a denial or an approval. I mean, I think,
It could be said, I think, without defining exactly what.
but keep in mind, we can't deny it if they ask for it and it can't be seen. So I don't think we need to straddle that line of whether it's a denial or approval. That's established by the act and our process
Well, I
over
want
years.
for John to look that up, because
I'm not suggesting he doesn't, but it's a completely
we
separate thing.
can, if we did not allow plastic buildings, whether you could see them, not everything, some of the
Well, there's
old.
a house on Potomac Pond with vinyl siding that you can see,
Right,
But the way I heard, and I've read the newspaper articles from back in 2012, town council admitted that you could have vinyl siding as long as it's not visible.
Yeah, well,
We can't control it if it's not visible.
what was the
It
name of
might
the
not be visible.
town council?
In 2012,
I don't know.
Durensis had moved
No.
on by then.
Yes, it was not Paul Durensis.
Right.
Anyway,
Spirited discussion.
that will give us a whole bunch of stuff. Johnny will look that up if anybody else has some old ones
Did we adjourn?
where.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Motion for adjourn.
Let's do it.
Motion for adjourn.
I second that motion.